Hideous Energy, episode 153.
Coming at ya!
Hot, hot, hot.
That's right. That's how we're feeling.
Welcome to Hideous Energy, a comic book podcast where we talk about other stuff.
Yeah.
I am your co-host, David.
I'm the co-host, Austin.
And we are here to rock your world and hold you gingerly and then apologize a lot and then ask if you want to still be with us.
Yeah.
And then apologize again for the smell.
Yeah.
And then ultimately
We'll
let you go because that's what love is.
That's right. Yes. It means letting go.
And never having to say you're sorry.
All of those things that the movies have taught you.
You're
going to be sad.
You can find us online at hideousenergy.com. If you go there, it'll take you to fanoff.com.
Yep.
And our page there, Fanoff is a site that hosts a lot of other podcasts, including Generation Animation, RBR, Weekly Wrestling Talk.
And ours.
And ours, Hideous Energy. You can find us there.
That's right.
You can find old episodes of the podcast on there, as well as links to our Facebook or Twitter. There's also a link on there to call our Google Voice account if you don't want to do it through the computer.
Or you don't want to touch the keys on your touchscreen phone.
You could do it there, but I was going to say, or if you just want to call us, you can do that too. The number is 1-720-HIDEOUS.
Correct.
What were you going to say?
I don't know. I was confused, but it's fine. Let's move forward. Momentum.
It's not that. Is it
720-HIDEOUS.
720?
Yeah. What's your problem, man?
For some reason, I was thinking it was an 800 number for a second.
I can't look at you
now. You can also check out our blog spot. It sucks. Hideousenergy.blogspot.com. There's nothing interesting there other than previous downloads of the show. So actually, that's of note. That's a pretty big thing. If you do want to listen to all the episodes,
you can go find episode number 1 all the way up to maybe like episode number 80.
Yeah.
Which is where our friend Stephen Blatchkey, kid.
His name's Stephen Blatchford, I think.
It is, yeah. Posted those for us.
Yes.
We didn't do that.
No work.
It was work. For the listeners out there, in case you're wondering why this episode is extra weird or sounds sort of creepy, it's because David has a mustache right now.
Got my cookie duster on.
It's pretty disgusting.
I had a kind of a goatee and a mustache, and I shaved off the goatee just so Austin could have to stare at me and look like what's his name in The Lovely Bones. That's kind of what I look like right now.
The Tooch?
The Tooch, Stanley
like,
Tucci.
You're Susie.
Susie Salmon. So check out my mustache online at hideousenergy.mustache.com.
That's right.
You can also, like we said, Twitter. Tumblr is not a thing we do anymore, so don't go on Tumblr. But you can email us.
You might be able to find it like cached on the internet somewhere.
Email us at hideousenergy@gmail.com. We haven't actually gotten any emails or voicemails in a while, which is pretty rare.
Untrue. We've gotten emails recently.
Well, yeah, we got the one that we had addressed last week. But
Two.
Typically, what's the other one?
From David Finn about that time that he went and watched Grant Morrison. And
I don't even know that I read that email.
Yeah, it was about Grant Morrison and the guy, the lead singer of My Chemical Romance. His name's like Adrian Tamine or something.
Gerard Way.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'll have to go read that email.
Yeah.
So I guess email us more and also call us and leave voicemails.
Continue emailing us.
Here's the thing that I want to put out there.
Okay.
I'm not going to do a fake one. Here's the thing that I actually want to put out there. I'm going to start over.
Okay.
This is real talk.
What do you want to put out there?
If you
I'll put something fake out after you put something real
okay.
out.
If you are a listener of Hideous Energy and have been for maybe a couple minutes or maybe for a long time, and you've never ever interacted with us, we have a lot of people that interact with us on Twitter and on Facebook, and through voicemails and emails and all that kind of stuff. If you've never interacted with us, we want to hear from you specifically.
Yes.
So send us an email or call us at the aforementioned Gmail, Google Voice account.
Correct.
And let us know who you are and what you're into, and if you have any questions. Like we just want to know you. And I know that there's, based off of our numbers between downloads and how many people we have subscribing, and based off of the people we interact with on the internet,
a lot of you not talking
there's a big
to
gap.
us.
And
that makes us feel self-conscious.
Is it because I'm fat and have a mustache?
Is it because I'm bald?
Probably.
It might be.
Combined, we are the most underwhelming human.
No, look, man. Like
the most undesirable to women.
I know how fucked up it is. I don't talk to bald people.
Yeah.
I avoid them.
I don't talk to fat people either.
Yeah, it's really hard.
What are we going to do? Sit together and talk about food because we're both fat?
Yeah, I'm just like, when did you go bald? And then we cry. It's awful.
So email us and let us know who you are. And if you want to, you can also leave a review /rating on iTunes. We have 2 there now that talk about how they like the show and how we talk about balls a lot, which I'm not joking. I may put on my tombstone. That's how important those reviews are to me.
Just the word balls?
Just a picture of my balls.
Oh, man, that's
the most weird.
That is revolutionary.
People are like, I don't know. Was he balls? Was he a set of balls?
Is this balls right here?
Is this a grave for someone's balls?
I have another thing. I'm not going to do the fake thing, although I'll build off of yours before I do the real thing and do a fake thing. I'm going to lie all night tonight.
Okay.
Yeah. Your mustache has fucked me up. I don't know what my problem is.
Do you want to touch it?
Yes.
Do you want to feel it?
Anyway.
What if we
email
what
me?
if I tried to talk you into kissing me by being like, we should get really close so that it feels like you have a mustache?
Oh.
That's the way that I'm like trying to kiss you.
If you want to email us, well, first of all, you said if you've been listening for a minute or for a long time, you basically are talking to every listener we have.
I know. That's why I didn't want to be like, if you've been listening to for a long time, and then there's someone who's like, I've listened to 1 episode and I liked it. Why can't I email?
Yeah, no, we're talking to you too.
Why am I talking like this?
We're talking to you too, Greg. And you're talking like that because you were born that way.
Greg, the Disney character.
It's okay. If you live in Indiana or Muncie or anywhere in Indiana, there's more places in Indiana, right?
2, Muncie and Indianapolis.
That's what I thought. If you live in either of those places,
Fort Wayne.
and Fort Wayne,
don't forget Fort Wayne.
Yeah, Fort Wayne's there too.
That's going to come in handy in a second.
If you live in Indiana or in any of those 3 places that exist within the state, let us know if you listen and if you're alive, and we'll talk to you. And it'll be a jolly fucking time. So make
if you
sure.
send me an email that says I listen and I'm alive, Dwayne, no, I'm not going to respond to that.
No, we will. We'll talk about you on air, and we'll probably call you whatever serial killer pops into our head.
No, we only call you a serial killer if you don't leave a name.
That's true. What if your name is John Wayne Gacy, though? Like, unfortunately.
And just a cruel twist of fate.
Sure, yeah.
Is that dude dead? Is the real one
Yeah,
dead?
he's dead. You know how I know he's dead?
Did they kill him?
Who do you mean, the man?
The man, yeah.
I think
the
so.
shadow government.
I think so. You know, this is how I know he's dead. As I've watched Hannibal.
Did you kill him?
I killed John Wayne Gacy. I watched the first season of Hannibal.
Yeah.
And in, I think it's like the last episode of the season, maybe, Freddie Lowndes, that
reporter,
that journalist who is just aching to be killed.
Yeah.
They clearly have just written her to be an antagonistic
piece of trash,
murder center,
murder fuel.
Yeah. She is talking about naming the book that Garrett Jacob Hobbs, one of the one of the serial killers in the show, his daughter,
something Shrike, Minnesota
Shrike. Yeah, his daughter's writing a book about her experience being the daughter of a serial killer, and she wants to know what they should name the book. And Freddie Lowndes says we could name it The Last Victim. But there's already a book called The Last Victim. So my initial reaction was, well, fuck you, Freddie. Why'd you even bring that up?
Yeah, no kidding.
Be like, we should name it The Da Vinci Code. Unfortunately,
we should call it Avatar.
Chosen
Twice. One about airbending.
And then one about blue things.
Sex cats.
But the book, The Last Victim, was a real book. It was about this guy who befriended John Wayne Gacy. And John Wayne Gacy, he did interviews with Gacy in prison. Like he would actually go there, and Gacy would try to convince him to have incestual relationships with his brother.
To convince the guy to have incestual relations with his own brother?
Yeah.
It's weird.
The guy that was interviewing Gacy. And they became friends. Then this guy wrote a book about it, about his friendship with Gacy, about him interacting with other serial killers like Dahmer and whoever else was alive at the time. He got his book published, and then maybe like 6 years later, he killed himself.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's not funny.
No, it isn't.
That's horrible.
Yes, it is. So that's why I know John Wayne Gacy is dead, because I read all of that, and then I read about when he died in prison.
So what, he died in prison? Did he just die of something, or did he die of
I can't remember.
Murder.
He was either executed or he died.
Murder.
Yeah, I can't remember which. Hideous Energy with comic books.
No, there's more.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to read comics, we support this 100%. If you have an addiction, we're going to give you more.
That's right. You came to the wrong place.
If you have a real addiction,
the sauce.
Those aren't jokes, nor anything to be made light of.
No, they're not.
So if you have a real addiction, I apologize immediately.
We want to help you.
If you do like comic books, though, go to dcbservice.com. That stands for Discount Comic Book Service. They sponsor our podcast, As we said before, they are centered in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
One of the 3 locations in Indiana
that exist. So if you're in the Indiana area, make sure you stop in there. If you go to the store, everything in the store is 35% off or more. If you go to their website, dcbservice.com, everything is 40% or more.
Yes.
If you've never used the code before, we have a special deal to give you.
Yes.
Mon France. Is that French? Did I just speak French?
Oui.
Can I speak French now?
No.
That's French too.
I know. DCBService.com. If you use our code Hideous8, spell out the word Hideous, type in the numeral 8. It'll give you an additional 8% off of your already highly discounted order. If you use it once, that's it.
It won't work again. But that's
You're
40.
Fucking done.
That's 48% if you can't do mathies.
That's true. We can't.
So make sure you do that. That'll give you half off a book. Make it count. Don't buy like a single issue. Buy some stuff.
No, buy a lot.
Load
of shit.
up.
Yeah.
Your party. Do a bunch of stuff.
That's right, man. Let's rock
I don't mean
out.
cocaine, but if you thought about it and you're in a safe environment,
Speaking of addictions,
let's do some cocaine.
Read 'em and weep.
if you made it this far, that means we maybe only kind of offended you. Yeah.
Do you have a cocaine problem?
Let's talk about that. Coke.
I don't know where to go.
I don't know what segment this is.
This is You Should Know. It's Read 'em and Weep. Forgot the name of our segment.
Expert planners here at Hideous Energy.
Read 'em and Weep. First book up. Well, actually, we have 3 books that we're going to talk about that come out today. If you're listening to this on the day that it is coming out and debuting as an episode, which would be Wednesday, October 23rd.
Spoilers with 2 Z's.
These
You can pick where they are.
These comics come courtesy of Image and their awesome FTP server that they allow us to have access to review books ahead of time.
Thank you very much, Image. We love you.
So we will go with Pretty Deadly, number 1, written by Kelly Sue Deconnick, the art and cover by Emma Rios, colors by Jordi Belair, letters by Clayton Cowles. This is a book that has been within comics news and sites very heavily promoted and talked about, and people are looking forward to it.
Reported on.
We were really looking forward to it, too.
The creators of this comic have an entire Tumblr dedicated to content that is inspiring this comic, like stuff that is thematically along the same lines of what they are going for in this comic. It's a sweet Tumblr. There's some really sweet stuff on there.
Yeah. This is the same creative team from the Osborn miniseries over at Marvel,
which I still haven't read, and I still want to.
So they, Kelly Sue Deconnick and Emma Rios, from everything I've read from that interaction, had a pretty awesome working relationship, and they did their own creator-owned book. So here we are.
Yes.
What'd you think?
First of all, before we get into that,
okay,
let's talk about. This is maybe the first time we've done this. Is this the first time we've ever not said a single thing to each other about
No,
the book?
it's always you.
Is it?
Yes, every time. That's why I preemptively today was like, don't say anything. Because you're always like, I just read this book. Barf noise or something that you'll text to me, and that'll be all it is, but it'll be enough for me to know.
Barf noise.
It'll be enough for me to know that you didn't like it.
Look, I'm not saying I've never texted that to you, but I really doubt I would do that in regards to a book. I immediately take that back.
You've done it.
I'm sure I have. Look, I didn't know I had that problem, and I'm happy you pointed it out to me. This book is a Western sort of magical realism, maybe?
I would honestly, this is a genre that you don't see a whole lot of entries into, but I feel like this would fit into acid Western. That's what it feels like to me.
What else would you call acid Western?
Apparently that Jodorowsky movie, L something, the guy who wrote the Mobius, the Incal, that Mobius illustrated. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
He did a couple movies, one that people are like, you have to watch it and do acid and be high and be whatever.
Is that why it's called acid Western?
No.
Oh.
But, I mean, I can look it up real quick. It has, I think, here, let me just read the definition rather than sit here and try to tell you what it is.
I was hoping that was why it was called acid Western, because in that case, I'd be like, man, this movie is it's like weed sci-fi. You got to be smoking a J.
Acid Western. Subgenre of Western film emerged, blah, blah, blah. Combines the metaphorical ambitions of critically acclaimed Westerns with the excesses of spaghetti Westerns and the outlook of the 60s counterculture.
So that sounds like East of West.
Yeah, you could probably fit that in there too.
Well, this book
that has a lot more fantasy and sci-fi elements to it.
It does, yeah. But there's certain portions of it that
maybe if nothing else, El Topo, that's the name of that Jodorowsky movie.
El Topo.
If nothing else, to me, this the visuals
of
Pretty Deadly. Yeah. Fit into that to where I really like the art. I don't know. Sometimes we get PDFs from the image folder, and I don't know for sure if that's how they look in the final stages.
Yeah.
Because some of the art in this looked really washed out and didn't look that good.
Well, there's
but it seemed like that was the whole page.
There's some stuff
so it made me wonder if
that had a filter over it because it was a flashback.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, Emma Rios' art in Osborne didn't look. Some of this kind of looked unfinished.
It might be the PDF.
It makes me wonder. So I don't want to sit there and say that some of it looks bad, and that's a testament to. Obviously, it's all subjective anyway, but it could be our copy. For the most part, I liked the art a lot. I thought it was good. There were some parts that, like I said, it looked.
There's a comprehensible from an illustration standpoint where the blacks seem to overtake the image.
Yeah.
But again, that might just be because we're viewing this low-res PDF that Image gave us for free.
Yeah.
If not, let us know. Or if so, let us know.
Yeah.
But the book. This book. There's a couple of things that I want to say first.
Okay.
This book... This book has a very interesting, it's a very interesting way for a first issue to turn out.
Okay.
Because normally we're saying this is a first issue, so it's set up.
Yeah.
You know that when you're coming into a story at the very beginning, particularly in a story that's being told on a month-to-month basis through single issues, the story is going to have some kind of decompression to it. Because...
Well, and if you have any kind of feelings where you feel like things are lacking, sometimes that can be attributed to that.
Yeah.
To where it's, okay, you can't, I can't necessarily sit here and say that they didn't deliver on this because that might be delivered in issue 2 or issue 3 or, whenever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so to reinforce what you're saying.
It's decompression over single issues is such an odd concept to me because it seems almost the opposite of what they're actually trying to do, which is compressing a lot of story into each issue. Which I don't know if those terms are just used incorrectly or if I'm using them incorrectly or what, compression or decompression. I'm going to sneeze.
I'm going to sneeze into my mustache.
With Pretty Deadly #1, I feel like it was a very strange choice to tell us absolutely nothing about these characters. And
nicest way to say it.
Well, no,
what an odd decision to fail.
That's not what I mean. Because
I mean, if it's gonna make it easier for you to talk, I thought this issue was bad, and I didn't like it at all. Yeah. So if you're tiptoeing around it, like,
well, see, I'm not. It's not that I'm tiptoeing around it.
I thought it was written poorly because I was confused the entire time. Nothing made sense to me, whether it was on a page. I could follow a line of thought from a character for maybe a page.
It's because...
And then it would jump around, and I honestly didn't know who the main character was supposed to be until the last page, and they showed me a picture of her and said her name.
Well, that's the thing, is she the main character?
I don't know. I couldn't focus when I was reading it. Like, I shouldn't say that, because that makes it sound like I wasn't, doing my part as a reader and spending the time. That's not the case. I tried very, very hard to read this book, and the harder I tried, the harder it was for me to understand what was going on.
Well, this is something I probably should have said first. I read this one upside down. No, I read it twice. That's not a joke. I finished reading it. I waited about 45 minutes, and then I reread it again.
Okay.
It starts out with some narration from maybe a butterfly and a bunny rabbit.
I don't know.
I get the sense that it's not, because the bunny gets its face blown off.
Yeah.
By a girl. The largest portion of this book that is, I don't want to say coherent because that makes it sound, coherent.
No, it's incoherent, man. That could potentially be the intent.
It could be, yeah.
For me, I don't know. I look at it this way. I mean, it didn't work for me.
No.
So when I'm reading it, I can't get into it. I don't know who anyone is. I don't know why things are happening.
Well, see, written poorly, it's weird because I don't know that I would say it's written poorly, because I think Kelly Sue DeConnick knows how to write.
I don't know.
I've
I've never read anything by her that I've liked or gotten into or thought was good.
That
doesn't mean she's a bad writer. It could be subjective on my part, but I can't get into her stuff.
This issue, especially as an introductory issue to the series, if if the point behind your story is to tell something that is incoherent and to tell the readers nothing, you are asking a lot of the readers. If you are in fact asking them to come back again to maybe find
it's one thing
out.
if it's a graphic novel and just like you finish, or watching a movie from beginning to end, and you maybe want to revisit it. Yeah. With a graphic novel, it's beginning. If this was one issue, then maybe I would be like, okay, I obviously didn't understand something important, and I need to go back and look again.
Especially if it's a graphic novel or even just a collection of single issues. The next part of the story is right there, and a potential answer to unanswered questions is right there.
Yeah.
In this case, a single issue, nothing. You're describing me, none of these characters. I have no idea who anyone is. I have no idea what's going on at all. Like, whose motivation is what. In one scene, this was particularly the most galling for me. The blind guy's name's Fox, and the girl with the two eyes that are different colors are in the desert. And some people shoot at them. And they miss, and I think it's to show that the blind character has
I know you're talking
some
about.
kind of powers.
Yeah.
He turns around and he shoots the guys that were shooting at him, and then they're friends. And we don't know why. We don't know if they had been friends that entire time, and if in fact they were friends, why the fuck were they shooting at each other with real bullets?
I don't know, man.
And none of that is explained.
No, I don't want to sit here and trash on someone's book. Like it from the reading the back matter.
Even though that's what we're doing.
No, I'm only going to be able to give my opinion and my subjective interaction that I had with the book, and it wasn't a positive one.
Yeah.
From the back matter, I can clearly tell that
it's a personal story for Kelly Sue.
Yeah, and that she's very invested and she's very passionate about it, and I would never take that away from her. I just don't know that I can read it, that it's for me at all. It's very. I would be curious to see from someone who says it's good as to why. Because if it's because it's an experience or it's
in my opinion,
it's a feeling or it's a mood, then maybe. But
in my opinion, this book's strongest aspect is its art.
Yeah, oh yeah, by far.
It's very pretty art. The colors are beautiful.
It reminded me a lot. It reminded me of a less focused, more confusing, and incoherent Killjoys. For real. I'm not.
I believe you.
Like I'm not trying. It is confusing to me. It is incoherent to me. I'm not sitting here just thinking of adjectives to trash on this book.
No,
I can do that. If you go back and listen to Satellite Sam and me talking about the lettering, I'm not afraid to say if something's bad or not. It just, I don't know. Either I completely missed the mark and it's my fault, or this book is not meant to be easily understood, not in a way where it's like Inception, but in a way where it's just like a collection of random scenes that are not in any order and you don't know who anyone is and people shoot at each other and then become friends.
Well, if that's the case, this is the first issue. So again, you're asking a lot of readers.
Yeah.
And if that is how they have it set up, then the second issue could shed more light on it. Unfortunately, for me, not knowing who any of the characters are,
I don't know what the book is about, dude.
No, that exactly.
If someone asked me what's it about, I'd be like, Western.
Well, see, for me to not know anyone's motivations,
bunnies,
no one's name other than that one guy, the fox.
It says her name at the end.
Jenny or Death.
Well, I thought it was something else. It was like, let me go back and look. I didn't read this today.
I did twice, and those were the two names I came up with.
I thought. Did they actually say? They don't actually say "pretty deadly," do they?
I don't think so. No, I think they say "death." Death is coming for you.
Oh, I was remembering Jenny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
This is just a weird thing I noticed. In one of the panels, the little girl character has something like stolen from her. Maybe it's a feather. I don't know. It's very confusing. But she is upset and she cusses at someone. And the cuss words are symbols. They do that like $! thing. Yeah. And then like 2 pages later, there's a bare naked full set of tits.
Well, they also say the F word in it.
Do they?
Yeah. Yeah, it's early on. I'll see if I can find it. It's early on. Someone says the F word. Did you notice I thought I was gonna potentially dislike this book for different reasons toward the beginning, where these people are telling a story at like a gallows.
That's a comic book,
and it's a comic book.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw that, I was like, oh no, what is this?
That rhyme, the rhyming story that the little girl tells, is intriguing, and the art throughout that part it's very pretty, and they use the page layout well, and it is interesting. I have no idea what they are doing there, why they are doing it, or why afterwards these people shoot at them and then become friends.
Yeah.
Whether or not I have to read more issues to find that out, okay. Like, if that's the point, then yeah. You have at least given me questions that I have no answers to, but I also don't know what anyone is trying to do other than kill things.
It makes me, the feeling I got from this is that if it's, and again, this is not meant as a slight, I'm not trying to be rude, it's going to sound really rude.
Let's hear it.
It seems like something where she's trying to do something too ambitious, where there's too many ideas or overarching themes that she wants to get in there, and rather than let them play out organically, it's trying to immediately put it all on Front Street and be like, this is the kind of huge, bold, ambitious book this is in terms of themes and storytelling and like narrative and nonlinear progression of events, and like if there is even that, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I get that kind of scope to it, to where she was trying to maybe she had a lot of different ideas for a comic and is putting all of them together here.
Yeah.
The problem for me is that there's no cohesive narrative. No. And I can't, it's very, like, I don't know. We talk a lot about that whole relationship between the writer and the author, or sorry, the author and the audience, or the reader. Yeah. And I don't know how much more I can give with in a situation like this, where I'm like having to work so hard to be able to do something that, by all accounts and purposes, I should be enjoying.
Well, I thought about East of West a couple of times when I was reading this. First, from a content standpoint, visually.
Yeah.
Because they are sort of similar. But then also from a storytelling standpoint.
And that is a book that I would say...
Because we were confused when we read the first issue.
And that's a book that, what I was saying earlier, I got the sense later of, I obviously missed a lot.
Well, see,
I didn't pick up on everything.
We also knew more about that book. Whether it is because as it was being advertised, as it was being solicited...
Well, and no, dude, the first issue...
No,
there's no...
It explains...
Yeah, there's no danger of you, like... The risks that you take as a reader of that book are that you have to sit up and pay attention.
Yeah.
Like, you can't... It's not Superior Spider-Man where you're going to sit back and have fun. And I don't mean that as a slight to that book, but if you want me to, I can say a lot of bad stuff about it.
We know.
But I don't mean like that. It's a book that if you want to get into it, yeah, it's a rewarding book, but you have to sit up and work for it.
See,
at least a little bit. The first issue is a history lesson of, like, I think centuries?
An alternate America.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
What I took away from this book is that the girl at the very end of the book is the daughter of death.
Is she the little girl from during the book? Throughout the book?
What do you mean?
With the blind man?
No. That she is looking for them.
Okay.
Because in...
I didn't get that at all.
Well, the only reason I think that is because she has a skull painted on her face. But then also in the rhyme that the little girl and the blind man are telling, it says that Death had a baby with the girl that was locked in the tower.
So it's maybe her daughter?
Death's daughter.
I know. The girl with the blind man is Death's daughter?
I have no idea.
Potentially, like, that's...
No.
Oh.
The sense that I got was that the girl with the skull painted on her face was
Death's daughter.
Is Death's daughter.
Okay.
Other than that, I think that's right.
I don't know, man. I'm curious to see what kind of reviews it gets tomorrow when it comes out and what people say about it.
I'm pretty positive I know what kind of reviews it's going to get.
Probably. I think the same thing, but it makes me curious to see what people say, because potentially I could read the reviews and be like, oh, okay, I completely missed it, and stuff might click for me that didn't click when I read it.
Well, it's visually impressive. It is.
Yeah.
It's a pretty book.
It is, yeah.
But at the beginning, you start with an alternate narrative where it appears as if the bunny and the butterfly are talking to each other. I think it's either a coincidence. She's using She's using imagery.
That's an example of what I mean by it's too. I got the sense that it was too ambitious.
Well,
to where it was like immediately I'm confused. Page 1, not confused to where I'm like, what is this creature? I know what a rabbit is. Like, not confused on a basic level, but just immediately like, okay.
Well, I think,
and I'm just like, I don't know what that meant, but all right, let's keep going.
I think it was it felt to me like it was a flashback, that we were hearing people speaking from the future about things that happened in their past. We don't know who they are yet.
See, dude, that to me, we've talked about this before too, about the idea of when you have characters in a comic or a novel or a TV show or whatever else, for the audience's sake, say, well, hold on, Jenny, let me do this first, and say someone's name, and how that that can be annoying. And I get that, and I agree.
It can be, but that's another
But if you put caption boxes on a page, and it's a conversation, and I see people and they're not having a conversation, and the dialogue does not let me know in any way, shape, or form where this is coming from or what's it about, what does that mean to me?
That's enough.
They might as well be song lyrics on the page.
That is seriously one of the very first things that most editors look at within comics. Not even... I'm just strictly comics.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen Marvel editors critiquing things and being like, these characters talk to each other for 6 pages and not one time say each other's names. Who are they?
Yeah.
And whether or not that carries over to every type of storytelling, I personally think it does. You can take it too far.
Yeah.
You have to know who is speaking, whether it's a visual or not.
Where it starts to hurt for me, is in team books.
Yeah.
Where, like, the Avengers are talking, and it's like, well, Spider-Man, I see what you mean, but I disagree. And then someone else is like, Wolverine, why would you say that?
Yeah.
And you get a lot of that on the first page.
Well, most of those books...
And then,
Well, anyway, in this case, I feel like framing the story as she did, with it starting out with this narrative that it seems absolutely disconnected from anyone represented in the book at all.
Well, you read it twice and read it closer than I did, I think. What's the dialogue at the beginning?
That's the thing, is that dialogue at the beginning is taking place between two people who are not on any of these pages, I'm pretty sure. And if the people are on any of these pages, they are not the people that are speaking right then. It would basically be like we're listening to them talk about what happened in their past.
Okay.
Kind of like the framing mechanism of Cloud Atlas, where you have someone describing a story, and as their description begins, the narrative begins, the description / narration ends, the viewers, audience, readers, whatever, are taken into the story. You experience it as it happens, then you revisit the narration.
But I think in that example, why that works is that whether it's metaphorically or thematically or even spiritually in that particular case, the same ideas or experiences are happening multiple times. Well, so you see the same story. So even if they're talking about something else, and you have the dude, Tom Hanks as a crazy book editor or author or whatever he is in present day London, talking about something, and then it shows him in like 5 million years in the future, you can still connect what's going on. Right.
Well, in this case,
it would be like him talking about making breakfast that morning and then showing the people in the future. It's just dialogue. That's how it read to me. It was just dialogue that had no bearing on what I was seeing or what was being set up.
I think
it seemed pointless.
I think it seems pointless probably because it's a first issue.
Yeah,
we have nothing to
let it be known the word I used there. It seems pointless. I'm not saying it is.
Yeah.
It just seemed pointless when I was reading it.
Well, to have the bunny get killed was confusing, just because it seemed as if the bunny and the butterfly were speaking to each other. They might not have been. They might be characters referring to each other as those names. And you can tell it's a flashback based on the art. Like, see how it has that filter over it? The other flashbacks have filters over it like that when they're telling the story with the giant comic behind them.
Yeah.
When she's saying the rhyme and telling the story about Death's daughter, the art has that same filter over it. I think as far as those things go, I wasn't as confused as I could have been, but the guy shooting his friends, whether or not they're friends or I don't know. That was very confusing to me, and probably my biggest problem with the book. other than that, I don't understand anything about this world. And I feel like I feel like it is possible to make me understand something about a completely fictional and brand new world in the first issue. And you don't have to rely on me wanting to come back to read issue after issue after issue to finally understand what the hell is going on, because they're talking about some magical, like, conjuring type stuff, and I have no fucking idea what it means. There's characters who obviously have relationships with each other that we might get to experience later on in the story if it continues. I feel like this issue asked a lot of me, but it didn't deliver enough to meet me where it wanted me to go.
Yeah.
What would you give this out of 10?
I don't know, man. I feel bad because I feel like we seriously avoid talking about books where we're just going to sit there and...
We try to. We did not avoid this.
Well, no, but I mean, this is a book that we
were excited for this.
Yeah, and it's not like I'm not sitting here and saying this is an awful, terrible book. I'm sitting here saying that the art is fantastic for the most part, at least from the evidence that we have.
Yeah.
And it's, for me as a reader, I was confused almost the entire time.
Yeah.
And it seemed very incoherent. And that is a very huge flaw for me as my own individual type of reader.
Yeah.
Narrative, A, is important for me, and we've talked about that a lot.
You and I enjoy narrative.
But then B, man, I mean, even if there's not narrative, I mean, confusing your reader is so important to not do, which is a strange sentence.
It's a great way to put it unconfusingly.
Well, you're a writer. Like, that's got to be at the forefront of your mind when you're writing something where...
One of the biggest things that I struggle with when I'm writing, which, again, I'm fucking nobody. I'm not a pro, is letting the reader or whoever is interacting with your art know the things that you want them to know. And if I'm writing something, I, just by the nature of the very act, know more than whoever else is going to be interacting with
I guess that's probably what I mean when I say too ambitious. Too ambitious is probably the wrong way to say it. I feel like, yeah, exactly what you said. Well, the sense I get is that Kelly Sue DeConnick knows more than I do, and either to her it makes sense, or, like we've mentioned a couple times, she's asking a lot of me to come back for issue 2 and to have trust that this is going to be something that makes sense.
That's what I try to focus on. And I like I'm just talking from like my own personal experiences. If I'm writing something, I'm thinking about it from my perspective, which is a very singular place to come from.
Yeah.
And I know that when someone else reads it, they're going to have to either intuit the things that I want them to, or I'm going to have to tell them in a way that they understand them, and do it deftly enough that I'm not just like, by the way, this guy's a cyborg.
Yeah.
To help you understand that without just saying he's a cyborg is hard.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know if that was the case.
And you're just talking about from a strictly like base level of, that's not even talking about like thematic ideas.
Well, see,
or you're talking, I mean, I'm just saying, I'm adding to your point.
Yeah, yeah.
That in and of itself is tough for you to do, and that's just from a point of, it's important that you know he's a cyborg.
Yeah.
As opposed to, what's important to me in writing the cyborg is that it represents this idea of not being able to connect as a human, or something that's a bigger idea that...
I think what I would say to wrap up what I thought about the issue is that I didn't care about any of the characters.
Yeah.
Nothing happened between any of them, or to any of them, or for any of them that made me feel even the slightest connection with them. Because, yeah, starting a story where it's confusing, or starting a story in medias res, where you're in the fucking middle of it, and then the story is going to unfold for the audience as they are experiencing something from stuff that's already happened. I'm talking in circles at this point.
I know what you're saying.
Well, like, starting that, it's hard, but it can be very, very interesting, and it can be super compelling.
Yeah.
I think in this case, none of the characters had a hook for me. The little girl, it was, I hate to say that it was just cool. Like, it looked neat.
See, yeah, and I kind of didn't even get that out of it.
Well, I did. I thought it was very visually compelling, but other than that,
I thought it was visually compelling, but I didn't get the hook of like, you're supposed to like this because it's cool.
No, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But I could tell that it was, like, I think it is cool, and it's very well done, a very well done package.
Yeah.
Except from the writing standpoint.
I kind of wish that I could read it without having read East of West, because I know that there's a lot of different things that kind of bled into that, and I don't know. I always hate reading something. It didn't happen consciously when I was reading it, but now the more I think about it, the more I'm like,
I compared these two books.
That was like East of West a lot, and East of West did it way better. Like, and I don't want to do that because it's not a book that came out to try to challenge East of West.
No.
It's a book that came out to be its own book.
Yeah.
So I know I need to treat it that way.
What would you give it out of 10?
I don't know, man.
I would give it a 3.5.
I don't even know. Like, yeah, I mean, I was gonna say a 3 or a 4. So I mean, I guess I'm on the same page. But do you think you'll read the second issue?
Probably, yeah.
But do you think it's because we talked about it so much? If you just say you were Joe, comic book guy, and you bought the issue, would you read it and be like, all right, let me read the next issue?
If I had the exact same experience I had with this first issue, if I was just Joe comic guy, yeah, I would get the second issue.
Really?
Yeah.
But why? Just out of pure faith?
To see if anything shows up in the second issue.
How far do you think would you go past that?
2.
Okay.
Number 2. If I had the same experience that I did with this with number 2, that's when I'd be like, I think I might have to let this one go. That seems very, very short.
Well, the way I do it is pretty similar. If I don't get into issue 1 or 2, if I make it to 2,
yeah.
Well, and then later down the line I hear people talking about how it's good, then I'll check out the trade.
For me to not,
I'll revisit it. It's not set in stone.
For me not to care about any of the characters, like I understood that death character on the horse was coming after the little girl and the blind man. I didn't care.
Yeah.
I had nothing that made me.
Well, she didn't show up earlier in the book, right?
No, she was
the death character.
She showed up after the poem / song was read. She showed up in the bar after that.
Oh, that okay. Never mind. That was her. That shot the guy in the brothel and stuff. Okay.
Yeah. I just didn't.
I guess I couldn't see her face paint.
No, I don't. She might not have had it on at that point. I don't know.
Well. Okay.
There was no sense of fear for me. Same thing I'm saying over and over again.
I kind of want to reread it after talking to you because there's stuff that
I kind of want you to reread it to see what your reaction is going to be second time around. Because when I read it the first time, I was like, "Oh, what?"
Yeah.
And then the second time, I was like, "Oh, okay."
I can't wait to read it.
I kind of get it now.
But still, like 3.5.
No, there was a couple parts that I did pick up on better the second time, but then also there was stuff where I was like, "Yeah, that's still just."
I don't understand it, man,
me.
because that Osborn miniseries is okay. There's stuff in it that I liked, but it's not like this. It's not confusing or incoherent or like it's a pretty. So it makes me wonder if it is something where it's very intentional, or if it's just, I don't know, all over the place.
Let's talk about another book now.
Rat Queens #2, written by Kurtis J. Wiebe, illustrated by Rock Upchurch. Is that his name?
I think so.
I'm pulling it from memory. Yep, Rock Upchurch, and letters by Ed Brisson. This is the second issue of the series that's about a group of role-playing, but like
warriors,
but it's that role-playing. They have a fighter, they have a mage, a cleric and a healer and stuff like that. All-girl cast, at least the main cast.
You struggled with the first issue. What do you think about this one?
The exact same experience.
Really?
As the first issue. It's okay, man. It's this one, like there was a fight in it.
Yeah,
and then there's a little bit to do with like the main antagonist setting up some stuff. And people got called like dick weasels.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. Not for you.
Just doesn't. I just don't. There's no appeal, man. Like there's no. It's all right. I can't. I don't think it's bad.
No.
But it's just, it's very, to me, there's nothing unique about it.
This is a strange experience for me because I have fun with this book.
Yeah. I'm glad someone does.
No, it's just so weird because I feel like I understand where Wiebe and Rock Upchurch are coming from with the book, and I think I connect with it.
Oh, I get where they're coming from.
No,
yeah.
I'm not saying you don't, but I feel like you don't connect with it.
It's just not. It's just not anything special to me, man. I mean, I think it's derivative of other stuff, and then
Like what?
Especially like the humor. Mixing it with the fantasy like he's doing is really tough for me. In that sense, it feels the derivative of Saga, to where you have a fantasy, sci-fi fantasy, I guess, mix. In this particular scenario, it's just fantasy setting, and then you have people talking like
they're from
they're
times.
us, and trying to say offensive things and make them funny.
Yeah. In that sense, it reminds me of A Knight's Tale.
I haven't seen that since I was in 7th grade, so I won't be able to.
I hated it for a while, and then I watched it, and the clouds lifted from my eyes, and I like it. But in particular with that movie, I was pissed off that they were playing modern music within something that was.
Do they
set.
talk modern in that?
They basically do, yeah. I mean, they're not saying like, "Hey, man, let's grab a horse." They kind of are. Yeah, they do.
Well, modern in the sense of it doesn't sound
No,
antiquated, but
absolutely not. No,
but not modern where they're like, I'm trying to think of like that's swag. Like
they don't say the word swag.
No, I know, but I'm saying like very clear modern day slang. Is there a lot of that, or is it just that they're not
I don't know
talking
that there's
like
modern day
fetch
slang.
my horse?
They seriously do. We will rock you. They stomp their feet and clap their hands and do the fucking.
I remember that.
We will rock you rhythm.
Yeah, I remember that.
That pissed me off a lot. But I feel like you know what? It's a lot more comparable to this than I thought it was. I was kind of just floundering. Never mind. I'm a genius. I think I moved over some kind of like obstacle for my enjoyment of that film to happen because I like it a lot now.
Yeah.
But I think right now, Rat Queens being only 2 issues in hasn't delivered the emotional.
Yeah, that's another thing.
The emotional attachment that A Knight's Tale has for me, which is weird to say, but no,
to the characters.
Yeah,
yeah.
Because the characters in A Knight's Tale, I do feel something for those characters. As of this, you're right. It is not a dungeon crawl yet, but it is this very fantasy, fighty storyline where it's like here they are fighting, here they are saying. Weird things or like funny things to each other. Here's this character getting her arm broken off, which I laughed. Like I laughed at that because she was like, "I'm in shock, aren't I?" And the other character's like, "Yeah, stop dangling your arm." And then she like fixes her arm. It was funny, but that's all it was. It was, which isn't to say that it failed, but I didn't feel anything for that character.
Yeah.
Or for any of the other characters. Because this storyline sets up a plot where they are being double-crossed by who they think is their boss, but it turns out it's a doppelganger. It's a giant fucking spoiler for the entire issue. And
Image is never going to let us review their books again.
You know what, man? Like, if that was, I would be genuinely sad if that happened, because I always want to be 100% honest about these things.
Oh yeah, and we've said it in the past. Don't let if you want to read Pretty Deadly,
don't
you
let
should
our fucking opinion
you should
bother
get
you.
it regardless of what we say.
Yeah.
And the same with this. Just because I'm not enamored with this book doesn't mean you won't be.
Yeah.
Like you might really like it.
Even us, like you don't like the book and I do like it. Now I'm not gonna, if somebody comes up to me and they're like, "What should I read?" Probably not gonna say Rat Queens immediately. But it's a funny book, and I'm hoping, I'm definitely gonna read issue 3. I'm hoping I will start caring about the characters more than I have at this point. Because so far, yes, it is just humor, and it's humor and action, but a little more than that as of right now. Even the characters that died in this issue, their deaths were not handled in a way where...
Well, they were characters that I don't think appeared in issue 1, right?
They did appear in issue 1, but it was only in that one page where it was like, these are the other teams. And
I mean, in the sense where you like talk, they interacted with anybody.
They didn't have dialogue. They were red shirts, basically.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. They're basically just there to die.
Well, so far in this issue, it could potentially come up in other issues, but in this issue, 2 of the people from this other, I guess, like squadron of characters, 2 of them survive and 2 of them die, and the 2 survivors have very little page time to show how their comrades' deaths affected them.
Yeah.
And it might happen in coming issues, but it also might not. It's hard telling. Even though they do say a little bit, they do have page time where they talk about the deaths. One or two of the characters from the Rat Queens immediately brushes their deaths aside and says, everything dies. This happens because of the line of work that we're in. It's nothing to be worried about. And then it devolves into kind of a comedic scene, which might be Wiebe and Rock's aim, to wait until we get further into the series to delve deeper into the drama. But also they might not be going for drama. They might want to do the fight laugh thing, which is fine.
Yeah, that's the sense that I get. I like the art a lot.
The art's fantastic.
That's my favorite part by far. The art looks really good. I guess I would rather. I don't know what I would rather have. I don't even know what I want anymore.
Yeah, it's been tough for you today, hasn't it? We're not even done yet.
I don't even know what comics really mean. It's not bad at all. I would never tell people that this is a bad book. It's just, to me, and this is purely subjective, but like to me the humor is very like you should think this is funny. Like this is very obviously funny, right? Because I'm gonna say cock and also like armchair, like you cock armchair, like, which is how we joke around with each other. So I mean, I'm not gonna say that it's beneath me or like I don't get it, but it's this isn't nearly as bad, and I'm not comparing it in a quality standpoint. But what's his name? He writes just over the top, outlandish crap.
I don't know.
Mark Miller.
Mark
Miller does that too, and Kick-Ass he does it a lot.
Yeah,
where it's like combine an offensive word with a fruit.
Sure.
So it's like,
or calls people meatballs,
watercock or something, yeah, or meatballs. So I get it. Like I read it and I'm like, oh, that's a joke. Like this is supposed to be a joke.
What a condescending.
No, I mean
I get it. Joke.
See, that's what I'm saying though. You found it funny,
yeah,
and I know a lot of other people would. I see it. It's not like I don't get it. I get it. It's just for whatever reason, it doesn't register for me. And that's humor is maybe one of the most subjective things.
Well, it's subjective, but it's also really hard to convey.
Yeah.
And that's when if I read a novel or I read a comic and it makes me laugh, I don't forget that because
me
it's
neither.
very hard to do.
Well, we've talked about that before too. If I'm reading or if I'm doing anything by myself, and it makes me laugh out loud, that is rare.
Yeah.
Which I've always thought about that, even as a little kid, because as soon as that clicked for me, I was like, am I laughing for other people then?
Partially, yes.
And I mean, the answer is kind of yeah.
Yeah.
I think part of it is like a communal thing to where
I think so.
You're laughing together and like you're laughing because other people are laughing.
Well, it's very subconscious. You're not choosing to laugh out loud because you know it's going to affect the other people in the room.
Yeah.
I think your body naturally does something like that. It's similar.
It's usually the stuff that catches me off guard if I'm by myself.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that will make me laugh.
I think it's similar to how crowds react when they're seeing a horror film.
Yeah.
Or you're feeding off of these other bodies going through similar experiences as you, so laughing.
It's an energy in the room.
There is this palpable sense of jolliness when you're with other people who are laughing out loud. Because, if I'm you'll text me something. We've talked about this, too, where I'll be like, ha, 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 and I'm not fucking laughing. But I know it's funny.
Yeah.
I know that I would laugh at this.
In person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the case of this comic, I laughed a few times, and it entertained me. It's such a weird concept to say that I like the book because I give it like a 5.5. But I think
that's basically what I give it, a 5.
Well, it's too much more than that, and I feel like I would be describing a book that I had a much higher connection or a deeper connection with than this. And not that every book has to be a drama or has to connect with me on this really deep level where I'm thinking about my fucking childhood. In this case, I had fun with this book. I giggled a few times.
The stuff to me, to expand on that humor aspect of it, the stuff to me that's funnier is when there's a group called Five Daves.
Yeah.
Or whatever it was called.
And they have survived.
And it's 5 dudes named Dave.
Yeah.
Like that lands for me. Maybe I don't laugh out loud, but that to me connects.
Yeah.
As opposed to, I feel like it's it's an easier joke.
Writing a comedy book,
which again, I know how much we talk about balls on the show. That stuff, or cocks or vaginas or whatever.
You mean the easy jokes that we make?
Right, but that's what I'm saying. That's how we interact and joke with each other. That's not us sitting here being like, all right, I wrote some great jokes for us for on the podcast today.
Oh yeah, we don't write
that stuff.
Shit.
Isn't different. So that's why to me there is a disconnect. I think, whereas it's not me talking with you and you saying, cock tree, and me reading it to where I'm like, that was very intentionally written.
That's the thing is, I think that is probably one of the worst things that can happen in any kind of thing, any kind of story that is comedy, is when you notice that you are supposed to be laughing.
Yeah.
If something happens where you can tell that this has very obviously been a setup that is using comedy or trying to use comedy. Yeah. I think it can backfire.
And let me be clear too. I don't think that this is by any stretch of the imagination like a really, really bad example of that. I don't think it is.
No.
It just, for me personally, for whatever reason, it doesn't land. But, again, like you said, we have two people here who differ on that. So
yeah. Emery hasn't read it yet, or we'd ask him.
Yeah, Emery would find it funny, I think.
I think you're right.
You could just print the word cock in every bubble on a page, and Emery would be like, this is hilarious.
He's dancing, so.
He's doing Benny Hill dance. Yeah, so I would give it a 5, too, man. I mean, it's...
Clearly.
No, for real. I mean, that's... The art's really good, and I don't think it's bad. So to me, that equals out to a book where I'm like, it's okay.
The art's great.
Yeah, the art's really good. And I think that I know that there's an audience for this book.
Well, I want more to happen, and it's going to. He's setting stories up.
Yeah.
I just want these characters to mean more to me than they do right now, which is their archetypes, which I think is very purposeful.
They are archetypes. The thing that I want more is for them to be different. And the only one that I feel like is a little bit different than the others.
To break out of the archetype?
I wasn't even, I mean, potentially. I didn't even put too much thought into like, is their personality fitting to their archetype? Do you mean like from a perspective of their class?
Well, that is a separate concept. Archetype for me, I'm talking about specifically leader, like the do-gooder of the group. Like they are representing these very specific
personalities.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like I don't know. They don't feel like distinct voices or personalities.
As of right now, they're not. As of right now, I think they are.
Is the smallest girl? Is she an adult? But her.
Yeah, she's an adult, and
she's like an elf or a halfling or something.
I think her midgen, I think, is what it is.
Okay,
that might be wrong. That sounds sort of slangy and
slurry.
Yeah, sort of bad. I'm misremembering it. I think.
No, I think that's right.
But as far as their class, like referring to Dungeons and Dragons,
yeah,
I think that is a very interesting concept that he could, or the creative team could utilize in the comic, specifically in conjunction with the idea of these characters as archetype and having them break out of the roles that they're playing. Whether or not that's their goal at this point, I kind of doubt it. Because, like you said, there's like 4 pages where they take down a giant troll.
Yeah.
They stab its eyes out. It just sounds crazy to say. They stab its fucking eyes out. One of the girls gets her arm almost completely broken off. Violent and funny. And then the rest of the book is kind of not really a whole lot else that happens.
Yeah.
In the issue, but I liked it.
Yeah.
And I'll read issue 3.
5.5.
5.5.
Okay, next book up. Let's round out the Image stuff.
It's going to be a tough day.
Comes out today, like I said, with the other books, the 23rd. Velvet by Ed Brubaker and Steve Epting. Colors by Elizabeth Breitweiser. Chris Eliopoulos on letters. So this is almost exactly, I don't remember if Elizabeth Breitweiser colored the Captain America run, but this is the creative team behind what I think will eventually be a pretty iconic Captain America run.
This?
No, I can't. Captain America.
I was like, this is not a Captain America book.
This
right?
isn't. That's not Steve Rogers.
No, you read this wrong.
No, that run that they did was amazing.
Yeah, I got it.
I forget how many issues. A lot.
I was making that joke.
It's a joke. I see. That's what a joke is.
Yes.
This book is set mostly in the 70s, a little bit into the 60s. And it's essentially about a spoilers, because I'm gonna spoil the end of the book immediately,
Giant fucking spoilers.
right off the bat. A secretary for this group that was formed out of World War II.
Yeah.
So there was a group of allies during World War II that kind of stayed together, and basically all of their missions were Black Ops missions. They did all the dirty work. Their funding, everything behind who they were and what they were built at was hidden, and
no one knew who the fuck they were.
She is throughout the book, she's a secretary for like the director of the group. You find out at the end of the book that she either was an agent or
is an agent.
I think
they're called X-Ops.
I think so. They all have X, or like X-51 or X.
Well, it's X-op, and then they have an X number.
X-operative.
I like to name. I pronounce it Zoperative.
Zoperative?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
It's a great question.
Like Zominana War?
Yes, Xanadu.
So the way that she says it at the end of the book is that, where is it at?
Well, the beginning of the book begins with narration from the.
Hold on. This was the line I was going to say. That the direct, like, her secretary job was her consolation prize.
Yeah.
So it makes it sound like either she did something wrong,
being punished,
or and she was forced to be this secretary.
The beginning of the book starts with narration from a guy who gets killed. Giant spoiler. If you haven't read this book yet, you're going to be pissed. But he was talking about how he and all the other ex-operatives would sleep with the secretary, and he didn't say it as derogatorily as possible, but he was talking about how they all had sexual relationships with this secretary that worked in the ex-operative office.
Well,
she was doing it with all of them, and they didn't know it.
Yeah, that aspect is played up like the men's club, James Bond.
Yeah,
like 60s, 70s.
Yeah,
kind of
womanizing.
Bring in my martini, honey.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
So they're having these relationships with the secretary, and none of them know that they are all doing this. They think they are the only ones. So the idea that this secretary, and again, the storyline is trading upon viewpoints of the 70s and the 60s, like David said, this sort of madman-esque womanizing.
It's like a Mad Men spy thriller.
Kind of, yeah.
That's basically what it is, the feel.
Well, so the narration is talking about how she tricked them all. She was doing this with all of them and tricked them all, and she was tricking the tricksters, so to speak.
They're supposed to be the smartest
spies in the world.
Yeah.
And
they all got played.
Quote-unquote secretary played them expertly. So starting right off the bat, first of all, you see the plot beginning, just page fucking 1. You know that something has happened to a character, and then you find out that Velvet, the main character, I forget what her
Templeton. Her last name is what I'm going to say.
She has something going on that no one else knows about. And the character's interaction with her, and you see her moving into the world after this guy was murdered, and I liked the book.
I do too. It's not anything different from Brubaker.
I was getting ready to say absolutely nothing new.
It reads kind of like a Rucka book to me too. I got vibes of a little bit of Queen and Country.
Yeah.
Spy. It seriously is like kind of the spy elements of Captain America and of what's the other book that I'm thinking of by Brubaker? Sleeper. And that. But with a girl. I mean, it's
Incognito.
Yeah, well, I mean, even
like
Incognito is a little different because it was like superheroes and superpowers.
That's one of the things that I kept thinking about as I read the book and then as I finished it.
This is straight up like spy.
It's very well done.
Fiction, genre fiction.
Oh yeah, very well done. But it holds very true to the cliches of the genre.
Yeah.
There's someone who has been murdered. Someone is being set up for the murder.
2 setups.
Like it's
double cross on a double cross.
It's absolutely nothing new.
Yeah.
Which sounds very negative.
No, it's not.
I don't mean it to be that way, but that's one of my problems.
Sleeper wasn't anything revolutionary, and I really liked Sleeper.
Sleeper's fantastic, but so is Criminal and Incognito. Yeah. I think it's
genre fiction. I think that's done really well, both from a writing and art point of view.
Well,
but
one of the problems with I think this very nostalgic reliance upon these genres that these writers love. Like Brubaker, he's a giant advocate of pulp fiction and sci-fi and noir. Those genres have been they've been boiled down, or at least Brubaker has spoken about in some of the back matter and publicly and in interviews and stuff, like boiling the genres down to these very specific
You talk about archetypes.
Has spoken about loving.
Yeah. The only thing that I think would be probably is the marketing twist for this book would be that it makes me wonder how much they'll go into it now that the secret's out. But kind of the thing in this book was, okay, let me preface this. It is not a book that's going to be like revolutionizing gender studies.
No.
But that is the thing that makes it slightly different is you have this world where because she's a woman, and because she's an attractive woman, they all basically kind of use and look at it in a certain way as not being smart or threatening or dangerous or competent or strong or any of those things.
Yeah.
And she's all of those things to the point where we don't know exactly how much yet because we don't know all of her past.
Yeah.
But she's done that stuff. But then once that secret's out of the bag and then at the end she's on the run because she was framed, you're basically back to spy story.
Well,
at least how it seems it's getting set up.
To change the gender of the spy, depending on how they utilize it going forward, on how big of a part her role as the secretary within the ex-operative organization runs, just changing the gender is not enough to make the genre story that this is telling different.
No. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The stuff where I feel like you could make it different, I feel, and Brubaker obviously has different ways he could turn it back, but I feel like a lot of that is lost with the last couple pages where it's.
You think
the cat's out of the bag?
You think they blow it too early?
Well, I mean, like
I meant the surprise, not a gross euphemism.
No, I mean like the idea that we can look at it from the perspective of she's playing everybody.
Yeah.
She's not playing anybody anymore.
Yeah.
By the end of the book, so any of that kind of potential, unless there's flashback or whatever else.
Flashback or disguises. I'm guessing there's going to be some disguises.
Oh yeah, there's got to be ejector seats.
Oh yeah. Well, you don't see the
ballpoint pen guns.
Yeah.
There's a car that's from.
Oh, it's a
straight out of James Bond car. I'm sure most people could be like, oh yeah, that's this kind of car. For me, I'm like James Bond car.
James Bond car.
And missiles and headlight guns.
I liked this book, but
I did too. I'm with you, man. I think we interacted with you the exact same way.
I feel like
where I was like, I like this, right on, let's do it. And then at the same time being like, Brubaker, you're kind of doing a Wes Anderson thing here where you're just
that's what I was gonna
writing
say.
the same comic over and over again.
I was gonna say at this point I'm sort of scared that Brubaker is repeating himself.
Yeah.
Because after Criminal came out and it was as successful as it was, yes, Incognito came out and it had a slight twist. Slight. And then Fatale came out. First of all, I didn't like it.
Yeah. It does the same amount of twisting that Incognito did.
Yeah.
Where Incognito was superheroes, Fatale's horror.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's still telling noir.
It's basically, you can kind of look at it like this. Criminal and Gotham Central are like, if you look at it like a food pyramid, they're at the bottom.
Yep.
And then you've got basically the different variations going up to where Sleeper is crime but spies.
Yeah.
Fatale, crime but horror. Incognito, crime but superheroes.
Sleeper was crime but spies who have superpowers.
Yeah, oh yeah, I guess they did have superpowers.
Yeah.
To me, I always think of that as a spy book because of all they do have superpowers. Yeah, that's a part of it because they're in the Wildstorm universe.
They do.
But it's the whole theme of that book is
it pisses me off.
Sleeper agents, double crossing.
It pisses me off because I don't want to be that reductive when it comes to Brubaker because I think he's a great writer.
Yeah, I know, man, but I think that he's being that reductive when it comes to the genres. I mean, I think he is, like you said,
he's
boiling it down
very, very openly about like a good noir story is this very, very like it's this very specific like A plus B equals C.
Yeah, I mean Donald Westlake or Richard Stark, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah,
I haven't read any of his novels, but I've read 2 of his graphic novels, and I mean they're basically the same. Like
they were Darwin Cooks, but they were Darwin Cook.
Yeah, I know, but you know what I mean.
No, I've read one of his novels. And 2 of the 3 graphic novels that are out, and it is that.
I think that it's basically going to be either you're going to write a straight up, fill in the blank genre story,
yeah,
and do it well,
yeah,
or you're going to do something that's so different that at that point it's genre bending or
subverting a genre,
or you're doing something that at that point you can't easily say.
Yeah,
like Cabin in the Woods. It's without spoiling. I just remembered I spoiled the movie before it came out.
We talked
the entire movie.
You basically
months before it came out.
The fucking script.
Like that movie. If someone asked me if it's a horror movie, I would say yes. Kind of.
I would say no.
I would say it is. It has all of the.
Well, no,
not on its own. You can't be like, this is a horror movie.
I would honestly have to answer their question with a question.
That's one of the things I like about it and movies like.
I would be like, what do you consider a horror movie?
Well, it has all of the stuff and tropes and everything that, in terms of like a slasher horror movie,
it does. But it's
you're looking for.
It's using them as. It's almost satirizing them.
It is. No, I think it's a total satire of the horror genre, but that's my point.
Well, yeah, but
if you're doing something that's that different and not making a horror movie,
yeah.
It ceases to become a well-made horror movie. At this point, it is now a horror comedy satire.
Like if somebody was like...
/ science fiction, maybe?
I really like Saw or Hostel.
Yeah.
I would be like, then you might not like Cabin in the Woods. It just depends.
Yeah.
Because you might not interact with it. You might think it's not scary.
My whole thing is like,
the point is to not be scary.
If we're looking at genre from that perspective, when we're breaking it into these two camps that I just completely made up off the fly.
Sure.
You have either, like what you said, subverting the genre over here.
Yeah.
And then in camp B, you have straight up take on the genre and let's just do it as well as we can.
Well,
that's typically what Brubaker stuff falls into. It's not enough to subvert the genre completely.
This is my head first tackle of the genre.
Yeah, but it is always written really well, and he always gets really great artists on it too. Yeah. And I think Steve Epting's a great artist. I loved his stuff on Captain America, and it's good here too. The
book is very, very well done. I'll read issue 2. I don't know. It scares me that it'll
probably be one that I'll read and trade.
It scares me that I will get
that's what I did with Criminal too.
Get to a point where I'm going to think this is another Brubaker book, and I don't have to worry about it.
Well, I think it ultimately is going to boil down to how much do you enjoy and like reading that stuff. Yeah. Because if he does do that, again, to bring this up, if he pulls a Wes Anderson,
but that's the thing,
and makes the same thing over and over again, like that Grand Budapest Hotel movie, I'm gonna like it and I'm gonna go see it.
Yeah.
Because I like Wes Anderson's movies. But
it's
there is part of me that's kind of disappointed by that.
Yeah.
Because I want him to do something different.
Yeah.
But there is another part of me that's like, I don't want to skip it because I want to see it.
Yeah.
Like, could I skip it and not miss anything? I mean, I haven't seen it yet, but assuming it's like his other movies and it looks like it's going to be, then yeah, I could probably skip it and, not miss anything. But I don't want to. And the same with this. Like,
well, see, I
enjoy reading this and I like Brubaker's writing. So
I think the thing that is...
I'll read it.
The thing to remember is that the quality is always there.
Yeah.
So if Brubaker was a writer who repeated himself all the time, and the quality wasn't there, I think we would be judging it differently.
Right.
Because this book, I give it a 6.
Yeah.
Because I enjoyed it. Believe me.
I would give it a 7. I would go a tiny bit higher, but still, I mean, we're working on a 6 to 7 point scale in terms of a book that we think is good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a a book like East of West, again to bring that up, where it comes out and it's good and it's like a breath of fresh air for us to where we've never seen something like it.
I don't know how much of a point I can put on it. Like East of West is just one of the best fucking books that's come out in a long time. I think it is so different from everything else on the shelves. So well done. I know it sounds like a joke, but I think we bring it up so much because
that's great.
They're telling this monthly story through singles, creating a world. They're doing all of these things. I think it's going to be a book that is going to be a very memorable one.
I think Hickman started to do that stuff at the exact right time in terms of doing ongoings because I love all of his older creative work where it has flaws.
Yeah.
But one of his biggest flaws, I think, in a lot of that older stuff is he put as much work and emphasis in making a world as deep as East of West, but he couldn't do everything that he wanted to do, and it was always minis. Yeah. Like, all those old ones are minis, and you get a blast of another world, but other stuff suffers because he doesn't have the time. Well, so starting Manhattan Projects and East of West when he did.
Being paired with Nick Dragata.
It all paid off.
It is fucking perfect.
And this is a book called Velvet.
Yep. We're not talking about that right now. We're talking about Velvet.
If you like Brubaker stuff, if you like genre, spy, noir, that kind of stuff, And I love that stuff.
I do too.
The way what usually happens with me with Criminal, and I guess with Incognito too, is I'll read a volume of it, and then over the next however many days, I'll end up reading all of it because I get right into it, and I'm like, man, this stuff's so good. But it's what it is.
Yeah. We have one more book left, don't we?
Last book up, Hawkeye number 13. This is written by Matt Fraction, illustrated by David Aja, and lettered by Chris Eliopoulos, and colored by
Hollingsworth, right?
Matt Hollingsworth. Yeah, he always colors it, I guess.
Yep.
I guess.
Well, in the back matter, Fraction talks about how they think the large majority of people that they've had.
I think that was the editor.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you might be right. Talking to them about waiting and publishing the issues, not rarely or like a rarer schedule, but people have said that they really wanted there to be the team.
Vast majority of reader feedback tells me that you folks would rather wait for the team than have a schedule fill-ins.
Yeah.
So that's the plan.
Yeah. What did you think about this?
I really liked it. I thought it was a really good issue. I missed it. I hadn't. There's been a pretty maybe 2 to 3 month hiatus. It's been a while. I really liked it for a couple of reasons. I liked that it was pretty serious and gloomy.
I really like that it's very serious and gloomy.
There's a couple bros in there, but that's definitely downplayed.
No,
and like the fun, adventure-y, jokey.
The way they're utilizing this issue was perfect.
Yeah.
It was a very low-key thing.
It's a pretty sad issue, honestly.
It is a sad issue. Unfortunately, as a single issue, I feel like it is kind of just a giant filler issue.
Oh, I didn't think so. Because to me, this was... See, I thought you would like this issue because this, to me, embodied all of the things that you had talked about in the past about wondering about other issues connecting or being filler, because this kind of connects a lot of the previous issues and glues them together from Clint's perspective.
You see...
Because we saw a Barney issue, we saw a Pizza Dog issue, we saw a couple Kate issues, including that annual.
Well, no, I'm talking about from a single issue. Like if I... Just this on the newsstand... which again, reading singles, it's so confusing.
I can't go at it from that perspective. I'm going at the perspective of both of us, which is long-time monthly Hawkeye readers.
The long haul, reading this within the storyline, the larger storyline of what's happening with these characters, it does connect some of those pieces because it jumps around in time. You see before Kate leaves, you see right after Grills gets killed.
Man, I love all the stuff. I really because I liked how much he brought so much stuff in. Like he brings in, like Clint goes and tells Grills' dad in person that Grills was killed.
Yeah,
and I completely forgot that he was the dude in the house in New Jersey.
Yeah, that's why he went there.
Yeah, and I for whatever reason in my head I have forgotten that.
No, you don't.
Like the camera is focused.
It's on
Clint.
It's a good issue.
And then I liked how they brought Barney in too. I thought that was really cool.
As odd as it sounds, calling it a filler issue isn't really a negative thing for me because it does fill in those gaps.
It's a mortar issue.
Kind of, yeah.
That's how I looked at it.
Well, it's connecting things that you had seen happen. Reading it from a single issue standpoint, if you're this far into Hawkeye, you should know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
If you're on the 13th issue and you read this and you're like, "Where's the arrows?" You're on the wrong book.
Well, filler has a negative connotation too, where
it does.
Like like when we were doing Why the Last Man, we were like, this is clearly a filler issue. Not only does it have nothing to do with the rest of the plot, but it's by a different artist.
And literally in the back they address that in this issue. I probably should have used a different word. Not going to change it.
Well, no, because I think that's why I was being stupid and said mortar issue, because I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
It is gluing a lot of other issues together and showing you some of the same events from a completely different perspective.
Yeah.
I think one of, like, seriously, to totally use a very heavy and word that's going to mean a lot more than what I really mean, the masterstroke of Fraction's writing was downplaying.
See...
I'm not a guy who hates the Hawkeye crotch and the bro stuff. Like I have fun with that stuff, but to me this was perfect for him to be like, let's completely lower the tone and even the colors, man. Like everything in the book is dark
to show the other side of Clint, where he's not being the goofy guy. I think this issue does not start out with this is going to be bad, or this looks bad, whatever.
I don't think so. Yeah.
Whatever the like phrase he uses over and over again. And to see Clint interacting with all of the characters that he does in this, because a lot of characters show up. Even the title, the credits page,
It's very dour.
well, it's as pared down as possible.
Well, every single panel in the book, it's a 9-panel grid. The entire book.
Is it?
I think so. Let me make sure. Flip through it. Yeah.
I
Yeah, every single panel is. And Aja and Fraction play with that a little bit. Only one time that I really saw pretty clearly. There's a part where Clint falls asleep inside of the limo going to the funeral, or maybe actually leaving the funeral, I think. And in the bottom right
that's
panel,
going to.
Is it going to it?
Yeah.
He falls asleep and has a dream. In the bottom right panel, when you look at the following page in the bottom right corner, it's
A sandwich.
him waking up.
Oh,
It's a sandwich.
his face is.
He turns into a sandwich. It's him waking up, and Aja drew it in such a way that it's very clearly the same panel.
Yeah. No, it's beautiful.
It's just my favorite.
He does. They do.
He's just my favorite. He really is my
very
favorite
sincerely.
artist.
They do a lot of that stuff where they utilize space with the 9-panel grid in this issue, where you can see multiple panels connecting, but in the background.
Yeah.
It's a really good issue. Filler from the standpoint that it is filling in the holes.
The only thing it really
stories
advances
that we've seen already
is Grill's, the aftermath of Grill's death.
It advances
That's
in the sense
basically
that you
it.
see Clint dealing with it, but as far as moving the plot forward,
I mean
no.
plot. Yeah, I mean plot. You see, the only thing that we haven't seen is that funeral. That's it. Like the aftermath of him getting killed.
I don't think seeing
Because anything else is stuff that we've already seen from a different perspective.
Yeah, at this point, after Clint finds out that Kate left and took Pizza Dog with him, lucky.
Yeah. Made it sound like she's lucky.
Lucky.
Took Pizza Dog with him, lucky.
That is up to where we know the larger storyline. Mm-hmm. We haven't seen anything after that except for him go to Grills' dad.
Well, that was before the funeral, though.
Was it?
Yeah.
Then the farthest we have.
He went to him after the funeral. Your son's dead.
Did you know that? Were you at the funeral? So this issue does not advance the plot. It absolutely deepens character.
Oh yeah.
Which again, from
I'm
a single issue standpoint, I'm very conflicted.
Well, Saga did a similar thing this past issue.
Yeah.
Where we got stuff with the will, and then especially with the little girl. I forget her name, but they named
Sophie.
Sophie. So I mean, it can work, and I think it can work if you know what you're doing and you know what you're going after.
Oh, it's a dangerous thing to use a single issue to deepen character rather than to advance the plot and not do both.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to deepen character, that's fine. But if not advancing the plot in a single issue that comes out month to month, it's a dangerous game to play, my friends. But this one pulls it off.
I'm excited about. I really like Barney's character. I liked that issue about him, and I'm glad that he's
there.
Probably going to be a character in the book in terms of like a tenant in the apartment. And he has this family that everybody's seems like they're going to be very accepting of him.
Yeah.
The next is it 2 rotating issues for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Dave Aja and Annie Wu, which I'm super pumped about. I know you are too.
I like Annie Wu's stuff a lot.
Her art's really good.
Yeah.
Which she had done, if you remember the Valentine's Day issue, all of the comic covers within the comic, the romance comics, those were Annie Wu. That was Annie Wu's art.
Her stuff is good.
I love this book, man.
What would you rate it out of 10?
Honestly, I'd give this an 8. I thought it was really good.
I give it a 7.
There was something else I was going to say. Oh, yeah, I like how his mug has an H on it.
Yeah.
It's so minor, but even like the purples in this issue were dark.
I don't think they're darker than the rest of the issues are. I think you added that psychosomatically, subjectively, mentally.
No,
you're crazy.
No, in that scene right there where it's in the light. Yeah, I mean, but like everything seemed much
darker.
Yeah, like bleaker, I guess.
Well,
like the colors not washed out because that makes it sound like it would be a little lighter.
First of all, the 9-panel grid I think is very noteworthy because it shows they're not playing with the narrative at all, which has been one way for them to keep the book light and also to have not fun, but to instill the book with a sense of energy and motion. And in this issue, there's not that.
Yeah,
it is a very rigid.
Well, it seems
visual.
very like this is so pretentious, but it seems very much like the aftermath of somebody's death, where you're just seeing things in terms of very like the same repetition, like like moments
Coping.
over and over again. I don't even mean that, but yeah, I mean it's just like
the 9-panel grid and then the title page.
Yeah.
Almost, I guarantee you, if you compared the title page of this book to every other title page of the issues previous to this, you would be amazed.
Yeah.
Because I can remember how visually, not explosive, but attractive the title pages have been. Also, the titles have been goofy a lot of the times, trading on humor, maybe not directly or as overtly as possible. This one's called like The You and Funeral.
Yeah.
Instead of like, I'm not kidding, man. When I read it,
oh, and it's in like it's not Times New Roman, but it's a really
no, it's a
really standard font,
bleak font. When I read it, the first thing that popped into my head was the fun in Funeral. I don't know why. Maybe I'm fucked up, but that's not what this issue is.
No,
you're seeing Clint finally dealing with all of the bullshit that has fallen down onto him.
Yeah.
Some of which is his fault, some of which isn't. So
I like what I would like to see more of, and I hope Fraction does it at some point, is do an issue that's just about him and Jessica Drew, about and their relationship, and like
he calls his ex-wife in this book because he has a spelling issue.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't remember how to spell a word, so he calls his ex-wife.
Yeah.
And I thought that was awesome.
Yeah. Bobby, I forget her last name. She was Mockingbird.
Yeah.
But like that whole aspect, that he's touched on it a little bit, especially in that Valentine's Day issue where he was basically standing in front of like 3 or 4 different women who he either mistreated or basically had some type of relationship that was not defined.
Yeah.
So everything's just hanging in the air, or a divorce. Like, so it's interesting. I would like to see more of that stuff, but I don't know.
Good comics.
All right, I have to talk to you, and it's got nothing to do with comics.
For the listeners' sake, I have no idea what David is about to say to me.
That's not anything weird. It's stuff that we would talk about, but I had a cool reaction to 2.5 different movies that I watched recently. Okay. So I wanted to talk to you about them.
You watched 2.5 movies, or you reacted to 2.5?
2.5. Okay, so the one that it's not that I didn't have a reaction to it. I really like it, and I think you should watch it too because it's a really fun movie.
The way you said that makes me wonder.
No.
Okay.
Is the remake of Fright Night.
You've told me this multiple times.
I'd only watched it the one time. Do you not want to talk to me?
I'm bored.
But Best Buy had it on sale, so I bought it on Blu-ray and watched it again with Amanda.
Oh, I'll just borrow your copy.
And I kind of want to watch it with you though, because it's one of those movies where you want to watch it with people. Like
right, Emery.
It's a fun movie. Did you just jerk him off?
He made the jerk off motion above my wiener. Clearly, Emery and I are on the same wavelength right now.
Oh, okay.
Which is weird.
Okay.
Continue.
No, it's not perfect. It's not a perfect movie, but it's way better than it should be. And it's got some awesome, like legitimately awesome stuff in it. Like the director and the writer, like they commit to it in a way that I did not remember. To where like 20 minutes in, it's just craziness.
Really?
They don't like, as I've watched like half of the original movie.
Yeah.
And it takes a while.
The original
for stuff
movie,
to build and then pace and everything. This movie is very different.
The original movie, when I was pretty young, came out in the 80s, so I saw it pretty close to its release, and it scared the fucking soul out of me in a couple of scenes. Particularly where the vampire comes into the kid's room, which was then my fear for probably a good 10 years. And the kid stabs a pencil through the guy's hand. I just remember it being fucking terror personified. Then I saw maybe like 15 to 20 years later, and you can see the clay finger extensions on the vampire. It's awful.
This movie, I want you to watch it, man. It's pretty crazy. It's from the director of Lars and the Real Girl.
I love that movie.
I just do, which is pretty nuts.
Yeah.
Going to this movie,
This
and he hasn't made
like
a movie since.
Confessions.
It's not Confessions because it got really good reviews when it came out. On Rotten Tomatoes, it's in the high 70s, I think.
I've seen people talk
so
about
relatively good reviews.
Other than you, also.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never seen anyone else talk about it. I wasn't paying attention to it when it came out because I was just like, oh, another unneeded remake.
I think the person that I remember talking about
Some pretentious, cocky cock.
Yeah, that's us, man.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this, you heard that review segment we just did.
Oh, yeah, and I've got a Calvin and Hobbes Star Wars shirt on and also a mustache I'm wearing. So
I have a cardigan on. That probably describes us right there. Oh, no, it's Beth Scores Auto from Spandexless.
Yeah.
I think I saw Beth posting about it either on Tumblr or Twitter about watching Fright Night. I could be making that up completely.
The remake?
Yeah.
Specifically the remake?
Specifically the remake.
It's awesome, man. Like, Anton Yelchin's really good in it. What's his name? Was really good at it. Colin Farrell.
Really?
He's so weird.
I love Colin Farrell.
I do too. He's so weird and crazy. Greg Nicotero co-did the makeup effects, and I was watching some of the special features, and there's scenes in the movie where I'm like, oh, all that's CG. And you watch it, the special features, and it's not a stunt double. It is Colin Farrell caked in this crazy weird makeup and like gurgling and choking on fake blood.
Really?
Like that's how into the role he went and committed.
That's why I love Colin Farrell.
It was crazy.
He is willing to do shit like that.
Yeah.
He's in Woody Allen film.
Yeah.
He'll do
Joe's dick and
he'll show that fucking swing and piece.
Home at the End of the World, is that what it's called?
Yeah, and they cut it out anyway.
Yeah.
Because the film was not large enough to contain Colin Farrell's pipe. Wait, what else has he done? Like, the first time I ever saw Colin Farrell was in
Daredevil.
Was in Minority Report.
Oh, yeah, he's a bad guy.
Yeah.
Kind of.
And I thought he was American.
Oh, yeah. I thought he was American for a long time, too.
And then I heard him talk, and I was like, what the fuck kind of weird brogue?
Well, I forget what movie. Oh, it was Daredevil.
Yeah.
I was like,
Hawkeye.
I want a bloody costume.
They're not all home runs, Colin.
Well, no, but I'm saying, like, that was the first time where I was like, oh, he's got a weird accent in this.
Yeah.
And it's just his Irish accent.
Yeah. In Bruges, like, he's a fantastic actor, man. Like, the character he plays in Bruges, it's, like, he's this very, like, emotional and, like, wounded man.
Yeah.
And it's Colin Farrell, you know.
Looking for, like, validation from
or trying to
Brendan
find
Gleeson and...
trying to find like forgiveness, and then he's a fucking vampire in Fright Night.
He's a sexy vampire too,
well,
and I don't mean just because he's Collie Farrell.
Is that what you call him?
I call him Collie Farrell.
You must like that.
But because he just it's great, man. Like it.
Well, also, you know what? This is completely off topic of his acting abilities. He can wear bracelets and look awesome in them. Like,
did you see him wear a bracelet?
He almost always has bracelets on if he's on the red carpet.
Oh, really?
He's got like 19,000 bracelets on each one of his hands, and he looks like a fucking king.
I mean, a part of it is just because he's just disgustingly attractive.
Yeah. Like, if you saw me come in here with like, no shit, maybe like 18 bracelets on my right hand, you guys would be like, fuck you, man. What the fuck is that? And make fun of me, and then I would have to defend it. But if it's Colin Farrell, seriously, the guy is a Grecian god.
Where'd you get those bracelets, man?
That's exactly right.
Where can I get those bracelets is the question.
We would have an entire night's worth of conversations with Colin about his bracelets.
Ross and Chandler showing up after hanging out with Monica's boyfriend. They have mustaches. The girl with mustaches. Richard. Yeah. The other part of the movie that's totally awesome that everybody forgets about is David Tennant's in it. And he plays...
Emery says his name like a dickhead.
What is his name? Did you say?
Emery says it, David Tennant.
Why? I don't even have a joke. Why do you say it wrong?
It's not wrong. His answer was it's not wrong.
I actually don't know. I've only ever heard people say David Tennant, so I assume that's how you say it.
If it is Tennant, first of all...
No. Don't be mean. It's not his choice. Someone's name.
No, that makes me think of that dumbass joke from Revenge of the Nerds.
Don't know it.
What did the Pink Panther say when he stepped on an ant? Da-dant, 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 da-dant.
Okay.
See?
I got it.
Tenant.
Tony Collette's in it,
it's a dumb joke.
too.
I'm not trying to be funny. It was dumb.
And we like her.
We do like Toni Collette.
Yeah, she's really good in it, too.
I like Toni Collette a lot.
Okay, so that was the one that I had, like, a good reaction to, where I'm like, man, this movie's super fun. I really like it.
Yeah.
Okay, the other movie I watched was The Dirties. And this movie
I don't know that I've heard about it.
Okay. The only reason I'd heard about it is because Kevin Smith is doing... He has at first they called it, like, Smodco Pictures or something. They basically had this, little distribution production company, yeah, for movies that he was going to produce that aren't his movies.
Yeah.
Now I think it's called like Kevin Smith Movie Club or something stupid.
That's an awful name.
They're both bad names.
Yeah.
But this movie I saw, I think, on Apple's trailer site called The Dirties, and it was produced by him. And I watched the trailer, and it's this kind of a not found footage, but like found footage or like fake documentary about these high school kids.
Is it a mockumentary?
No.
Okay.
But even if it is, shut your mouth.
No.
Yes. Because The Office is a mockumentary.
That's true, it is.
Okay.
But it...
No.
It transcends the genre.
No.
It transcends that genre.
I watched the trailer, and it's about these kids who are making a movie.
Yeah.
And they're high schoolers. And very much so in the movie. Like, they are very, very, very...
Annoying.
Yes, because they're real. They seem very real.
Oh.
So, yes, they're annoying because they're... to a certain degree. And they love movies. And so they're making this movie within the movie called The Dirties. And it's basically about combining all of their favorite things and references to all their favorite movies and making this movie where they, within their movie, kill this group of bullies called the Dirties, and it's basically the bullies from their school.
Oh.
So from there, the movie goes on with seeing this movie that they're making, seeing them get bullied, and it's very real and very horrible.
Yeah.
And then the main character, one of the two main characters, throughout the movie, kind of makes jokes about like what if we actually killed them? Like what if we actually killed those guys?
Yeah.
And joking about it, and they do. Matt, I think it's Johnson. Matt Johnson, I think is the guy's name. Who wrote and co-wrote and directed it, and is in the movie. Does an amazing job of making it to where you you are always not sure about one or the other. To where if he's being serious, or if he's joking. Because dude, when he jokes, a lot of the times it reminded me so much of us.
Really?
To where we'll joke about stuff like that, where we're making a joke
We're
about
saying horrible things to make each other laugh.
Dark things where it's like, what if this happened? And it's very clearly a joke.
Yeah.
But these are kids who are very clearly getting bullied.
Yeah.
And horrifically so. I listened to a podcast with Matt Johnson. It was a Smodcast episode where Kevin Smith interviews him. They made this movie in one of the most unique and interesting ways I've ever heard of, like completely different than anything else I've ever heard. Their script, I think what little script they had, they wrote in a day. And they shot over 200 hours.
Holy shit.
Of footage.
On what, DV?
Pretty much, yeah. And basically the way they did it was, in the movie, their characters' names are their own first names. And they just would go out and shoot stuff and be their characters. And if anybody came up to them, for instance, because Kevin Smith was like, why did you guys use your first names in the movie? Was that just a, like, kind of, sometimes writers do that? And he was like, well, I mean, kind of, but I'll tell you another thing. If someone came in and ruined our shot by saying one of our names, potentially that's in the movie.
Yeah.
We could use that. There's a shot at toward the end of the movie where he talks to his mom.
Yeah.
Matt Johnson goes in and talks to his mom, and he goes, am I crazy, Mom? And she's like, what do you mean? He's like, I don't know. I've just been thinking about it. Like, what does that mean? And his mom is a psychiatrist in real life.
Yeah.
And she's like having this kind of joking discussion with her son. That's in the movie. She had no idea she was being filmed. She had no idea she was talking to her son in character. She was just talking to her son. So this guy, they basically made this movie. He said everything is in the editing. He said, I think that this will potentially be a new way of making movies, but I think they spent 6 to 7 months editing the movie, but way less. I mean, they shot a lot of footage, but it was basically
Does it look good, though?
Yeah.
Does it?
Yeah, man. I don't want to talk like way more about it because I don't want to spoil anything, but it's crazy. Like in the interview, he talked about how what they wanted to do was when they watched a lot of documentaries and read a lot of stuff about the Columbine shootings.
Yeah.
And he said that there was a BBC documentary where they showed all these movies that Klebold, and I forget the other guy's name, Harris had made in high school, playing around making their own movies.
Yeah, I remember seeing some of that footage.
And he said in the BBC documentary, it seriously is like, and now watch these bone-chilling scenes as these children eventually enact what they will later use on their own classmates. And it's very much like, look, you can see the seeds of them being killers here.
Yeah.
And when he watches that footage, Matt Johnson, when they're talking about it, he's like, these are exactly the same types of movies that I made when I was in high school with my friends.
I remember
this is the exact same stuff.
Some of the footage I saw was one of the two kids with a it was like a makeshift rocket launcher made out of like wrapping paper tubes.
Yeah.
That they put firecrackers down, and then they held it up on their shoulder to shoot the firecrackers out of.
I'm sure the media had a frenzy with that.
Well, I mean, like, us three, literally, in this room, blew up a fucking
yeah.
Punisher figurine.
Yeah, and filmed it.
And Emery ate a frog, like, 30 seconds after that. Yeah. Like, so obviously not saying any of that to defend those two crazies. But...
Well, it was... He basically wanted...
I think I know where he's coming from.
Yeah.
When he says, like, you can't distill someone down to something so easily with, like, one piece of their life.
Well, and he said they wanted to make the movie where it was everything before
that.
Before a school shooting would happen.
So is this
and look at it.
Video on demand? Where is it?
It's on VOD. It's on iTunes right now. Eventually it'll be on DVD. This is another crazy thing. This dude... there's a scene right at the beginning of the movie where they're out testing their mics.
Yeah.
And they're like making jokes, and they just get into their character so well, dude, that it reminds me a lot of me and probably what you were like younger, where we're like there's a part where they're making their movie and he's dressed up as a girl and he's singing Malkovich over and over again. And he's like, man, if no one gets this when we show this movie, this scene's going to crash. And they never say that it's from being John Malkovich. But then there's other shots where they're quoting The Usual Suspects. There's other shots where they're quoting Blazing Saddles. That's all their identity and their interests revolve around are movies.
Yeah.
And that reminded me so much of me.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it would remind you of you a lot too.
Yeah.
So at the beginning of the movie, they're testing their mics, and these two kids are driving by, and they're like, what are you doing? And it's like younger kids. They're probably like, I don't know, 11, 12, something like that. And he's like, we're testing our mics. We're making a movie. And the younger kid is like, oh, we're making a movie too. And he's like, oh yeah, what's your movie about? And he's like, it's about this a scientist, and then he breaks out, and there's a monster, and then there's spies that come in too. And it's this like 12-year-old basically trying to explain something, not explaining it because he's a 12-year-old. And he's like, that's awesome, man. Like, we're making a movie called The Dirties, and they talk and have this interaction. Those kids were real. They didn't know they were being filmed.
Holy shit.
Months later, after they made the movie, they took screenshots from the stuff that they had filmed, and their producer went to every school in the area and found these kids so they could sign release forms.
Wow.
And those kids made their movie, and it's going to be on the DVD.
That's awesome.
On the special features.
That's fucking awesome.
So, like, the story behind, like, if you're interested in watching this movie, I would highly recommend downloading that Smodcast and listening to it.
Man, that's so cool for those kids.
I know.
Those little kids to get their fucking scientist movie.
It's crazy. And the movie itself, I thought was very good. I had a very, very big fear going into it.
Yeah.
That it was going to do a very specific thing, and it doesn't. So if you have any fears that the movie is going to try to be clever or to maybe not commit to an ending or to an answer, because as you're watching it,
twist.
Yeah, because as you're watching it, you're like, he makes a joke and they both laugh, and I laugh too because I'm like, I know exactly the kind of joke he's making, and then you see him go get blueprints for his school.
Yeah,
and you're like, oh, what does that mean?
Well,
and it goes back and forth. So I was very scared that like the movie was going to end right before they tell you, and that would have pissed me off.
It sounds like it might succeed where Smith's last movie failed.
What, Red State?
Yeah, with the ending.
Oh, well, I mean, it's Kevin Smith talks about how this movie reinvigorated him. He said that it was given to him by his producer who helped produce Red State, and he said after he watched it again. And this was at Slam Dance. This was way before they decided to pick it up.
Yeah. And
Slam
Dance.
Yeah.
Slam Dance.
It's a film festival.
Oh. I thought you just said Sundance wrong. And I was like, you're a fucker.
No. Then he sat there, and it really hit him, where he was like, it connected him with the way where it reminded him of how he felt when he made Clerks.
Yeah.
And these kids made this. They had no, because he asked him, he was like, what was your budget? And he was like, dude, you're thinking about it like one of your movies.
Yeah,
he was
we
like,
didn't
we didn't have a budget. He's like, we had to pay to fly to this place to film the scenes we needed.
Yeah.
And we had to pay for food.
Yeah.
Like, that was it. The cameras were our own. We edited on Final Cut Pro. We did it all ourselves. All the footage was ours. I read later that
how
they
old is this
figured
Matt
out.
Johnson guy?
How old is he?
Yeah.
28?
Yeah.
29, something like that. I read later that the budget, when they tallied up how much money they spent, was about $10,000. And
on what? Like plane tickets?
They didn't say specifically, but like everything that they spent money on over the course of filming it. And then it was like $40,000 for the music rights. They had to pay
Really?
4 or 5 times more. More.
Does he talk to him about how they got the money for the music rights?
I'm trying to remember if he does or not.
Because
I think some of it was. I got the feeling that some of them came from. I think Matt Johnson comes from a wealthy family because he talks about that. That part's really interesting too in the interview, where he's like the black sheep of his family. Like he has this movie that won the grand jury prize at Slam Dance, like has won all these awards. Kevin Smith's production company has picked it up for distribution,
and his family doesn't care.
And his family's just like, oh yeah, you make your movies.
Cute.
Like they're supportive of him, but they don't get it.
It's like the best movie ever.
So yeah, man, it's pretty crazy. And then the last one
was this the half one?
No, the half one was Fright Night.
Oh,
because I really like it, but it's Fright Night.
Yeah, you know.
Very. What's that quote that we said? Don't expect Watchmen.
Don't expect Watchmen. Don't expect Citizen Kane.
Okay, so this. I watched Halloween for the first time. I'd never seen it.
Really?
The very original Halloween.
There is. Remember when I had my soul fucking scared out of me?
Yeah.
It's happened more than once.
Halloween?
Halloween did it. There at the beginning when they show up at the fucking insane asylum.
Dude, I'm not kidding. That scene scared the dick out of me.
It is one
when
of the
he drives up in the rain and with the headlights, and you see the people just like
in
standing
their fucking like flowing white gowns.
It's so scary,
awful,
dude.
That is by far scarier to me than any of that Michael Myers like hiding in the closet shit.
Well, some of the stuff. Okay, well, first off, this is one of the big Carpenter movies I'd never seen because I, for the most part, have seen most of his.
One of his biggest ones.
Yeah, I had seen a lot of his movies. So they have
where he started his fantastic music career.
They have a no, it's not.
It's not.
Assault on Precinct 13 apparently was. They put out a 35th anniversary Blu-ray, and it's got a it's like probably 15 or 20 page booklet inside, and it's awesome. It seriously goes through from beginning to end. Like all the origins, production, and then like aftermath of how the movie changed everything. Yeah, essentially.
If I could pick someone who I feel like culture left behind, and I think deserves to still be
John Carpenter.
Yeah. I feel like culture moved.
Watching this
off
movie,
the beaten path to where Carpenter was.
Yeah, watching this movie made me want to, and I'm going to. I know I'm going to watch a lot of bad movies, but it made me want to watch all the rest of his movies that I haven't seen.
Don't do that.
I'm going to.
Don't watch all of them.
I know going into a lot of them that it's going to be what it is. But
you've seen Escape from New York, right?
I've seen like half of it. I own it.
It's pretty.
Seen it? I own it.
Pretty overrated.
But no, I've never seen it. There's only 2 things I didn't like about Halloween. One, Laurie's 2 friends are terrible. Yeah. They're awful. Yeah. Which that's okay. Whatever.
Well, it's the budget that he had.
The budget was like $300,000, I think.
Maybe.
No, it was.
Oh,
like it said it in that booklet.
Maybe.
Well, see, that's another thing that's so weird. As I'm watching it, there were a lot of things where I was like, well, I mean, I guess that is a trope, and then I would be like, oh,
he invented
this. Made the trope.
Yeah.
Like this was it.
Yep.
They're really bad. But then the score when it opens and it shows that zoom in on the pumpkin. Yeah. That scene to me is scary. That music is so scary.
The music is terrifying.
Then he uses it way too much throughout the movie.
My guess is somebody was like, John, that is a genuinely haunting piece of music. And he was like, really? And then fucking put it through the whole film.
He has variations of it that are also really creepy and effective.
Yeah.
But then there's like 2 other ones.
Like Jamie Lee Curtis like turns her head to the camera and is like...
Yeah, he uses it a lot. But I didn't know that it wasn't gory.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that it was like a pretty bloody,
really understated.
Dude, the scene where Michael Myers stabs that dude up against the door.
Yeah. And
then the way like the shot is composed with the lighting, you can see Michael Myers like turning his head and like staring at his corpse.
It's heart chilling.
It's such a good movie.
Well, even
I was not expecting it to hold up and be good.
The design of Michael Myers himself.
Yeah.
The jumpsuit, the fucking Shatner mask turned inside out, painted white.
Yeah.
Like, it's creepy.
Yeah.
And obviously, Carpenter did accidentally create an entire fucking, like, subgenre of horror where
slasher.
Everybody, well, not even that, just everyone in weird fucking masks.
Oh, yeah.
Put a weird mask on them, they'll be scarier. That's not necessarily true.
There's another thing that I didn't realize. I was reading, because I read a ton about the movie after, but when he and I completely forget his partner's name. It was his partner at the time. She co-wrote the movie with him, and she produced the movie.
I don't remember.
They basically wanted Laurie to be alert so that she could escape and fight back and everything.
Yeah.
So that's why they had the other kids having sex and not paying attention and getting killed.
The red shirts,
Well,
basically.
yeah, but then unintentionally, that spawned one of the biggest tropes in horror movies, which was...
If you have sex in a film, you're going to die.
If you have sex, you die. Deborah Hill. Thanks, Emery. That's her name. If you have sex, you die. And they literally said later, like, oh, no, that wasn't our intent at all. Like, we needed them to not be paying attention.
Yeah.
So we figured that they would be trying to get laid.
Well,
that's a trope that they address in Cabin in the Woods, like very clearly, like that.
Yeah.
It blew my mind. So I'm in a big horror kick now.
Carpenter's he's been one of my favorites, which is a hard thing to explain to people sometimes.
Do you remember what the movie the little kids were watching throughout the movie?
Nope.
It's the original Thing.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I thought that was so cool. And like it's not really in like trivia. I figured it would be all over the place.
Yeah.
But it's not. So it made me wonder if it's
the
just
Thing
like
is so good.
It's so good. That made me realize after watching Halloween, I was like, holy crap, I love John Carpenter way more than I realized I did. Because I love The Thing. I love Big Trouble in Little China. I can't remember any of his other movies now.
Big Trouble in Little China.
Ghost from Mars. Yeah.
No.
Starman. I do want to watch Starman.
I like Starman a lot, and I think They Live is...
They Live.
Is very good.
They Live.
I think... In that book that I read, I think it's by Jonathan Lethem.
It is.
The 33 and a third book. Talking
It's not that. That's music.
I always mix them up.
Yeah.
It's called like Final Cut or some shit like that.
Yeah.
He's talking about John Carpenter's mindset going into They Live and how much thought he put into something like that. Like the main character's name is Nada.
Yeah.
Nada. And he's basically representing everyone while also representing no one. Like the book is interesting, but then
Is
also
it worth reading?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'll have to get it.
I would watch the film first.
I've seen the movie, but I had to watch it in high school. It's been a while.
Also, it just has one of the best fight scenes ever. Keith David and
Alleyway.
Roddy Piper just beating the shit out of each other. It's fucking fantastic. And then the ending. It's amazing.
Isn't it just like there's like so many aliens on the Earth? Like
the Earth's covered in aliens, and the ending is Nada and Keith David's character, whatever his name is.
They blow up
They blow the satellite up by killing themselves. They seriously die, and to have the
to let the world know
it's a satellite on top of a building.
Well, is that signal that's sending out preventing people from seeing what they really are?
Yeah.
So then everybody can see them.
Yeah.
Because I remember that. Because isn't there like people having sex in bed and they can tell that they're an alien? And there's like news anchors. Is there a bunch of shots of aliens after that?
I think so. Yeah.
I can kind of remember it.
And also Roddy Piper. Everyone remembers the bubblegum line, obviously. Yeah. But there's another...
Which for the most of my life, I thought that was from Duke Nukem.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Duke Nukem 3D.
I like that game. Anyway, the other line he says that's funny is when he first sees the aliens' faces, he's got the glasses on, and he's like, your face looked like you left it in the cheese dip from 1968 or some fucking crazy shit. Oh, man, it's so good.
Have you seen Halloween 2?
Yeah.
The second one?
Yeah.
That's what Caleb Schmereen told me. I posted a picture of the Blu-ray on Facebook before Amanda and I were getting ready to watch it and basically said, like, we've never seen it. We're getting ready to watch it. And he was like, it seriously holds up. And he said that he recommends, even though the second one's not as good, to watch the second one. So I bought it on Blu-ray after I watched the first one. I'm pretty pumped to watch it. The story behind that is super interesting, too. Like, the production.
Yeah.
Like, they were going to give him so much money, but he didn't want to direct it, but he wanted to write it.
Yeah.
And so he co-wrote it again with his partner, who I completely forgot. Yeah, Deborah Hill. And then they got this dude to direct it. Well, then when it was done, they took it to the studio, and John Carpenter got to oversee production because he was producing it, and he was like, oh, this isn't scary at all. So he went back in and shot a bunch of stuff to make the movie scarier.
That sucks.
So it pisses that dude off, and he gets upset, and he's like, John Carpenter messed with my final cut. Like, there was all this crazy stuff that went behind the production. So there's a special feature on the Halloween Blu-ray about Jamie Lee Curtis. It's called The Night She Came Home instead of The Night He Came Home, which is the tagline of the first movie.
Yeah.
And apparently she either did it one time or it was multiple times where she did this Halloween convention for the fans, like this big meetup and get together for the fans, and then donated all the money to charity.
What? That's awesome.
Because she's super awesome. Shows her getting off the plane, Indianapolis, Indiana.
No shit.
Yeah, dude.
That's fucking crazy.
It's like an hour long. I haven't watched it yet, but I started watching it, but it was like 1 a.m.
She seems really cool.
Yeah, she does.
I've seen multiple things with her where she's she seems like she's really down to earth.
Yeah.
I would love to read a super in-depth biography about John Carpenter.
Oh, I would too.
Because
I would totally read that.
His mindset, as far as making films, he seems like he has never done anything other than what he wanted to do. I'm sure it's not like 100% true.
The ideas that that's what makes me want to watch all of his movies.
Yeah.
Is because even the ones that I know are going to be pretty bad.
Yes.
I want to see from a visual standpoint, because he's got a crazy eye for directing.
Yeah.
And then also from the point of view where he goes after projects that he, like you said, he's very attracted to or has some kind of pull for him. There's a quote in that book, in the Halloween Blu-ray, where it says, I made Michael Myers walk to make him a monster instead of a man, as opposed to chasing them. He just walked, which that, again, it's another trope
now.
But like that, thinking about that back then, like that's crazy.
What I think
he also didn't take a fee. He believed in the movie so much that he was like, I'll do it for free. Give me just 10%. If the movie makes any money, I'll take 10%.
He made crazy bank.
He made I think it was like $30 million or something. No, that would be too much. He made it was like $7 million, I think, what he would have pocketed.
Well, shit, dude, in the 70s.
Oh, yeah.
That guy was he was in a car made out of cocaine. He was probably nuts. Well, no, like, I feel it makes me feel kind of bad, because for someone who appreciates film as much as Carpenter seems to have culture change as much as it did, and to have him not be able to make the kinds of movies that people are going to the theater to see anymore. Because, like, what was the last one of his that was in theaters? Was it Ghost of Mars?
I think it was Ghost of Mars. He did a movie with Amber Heard.
Vampires. With James Woods.
Did he direct that?
Yeah.
I thought that was like a
John Carpenter's Vampires.
Was that the one with the Green Goblin guy, Willem Dafoe?
James Woods.
I know, but isn't Willem Dafoe in that movie too? Aren't they like vampire hunters?
James Woods is. I don't know if Dafoe's in it or not.
Okay, I haven't seen it.
I
remember it. It was in the 90s, right?
98.
Yeah, The Ward was that Amber Heard movie.
Apparently, it is awful.
I think it was like a VOD.
James Woods, Daniel Baldwin. Oh goodness, he looks awful in that picture. Cheryl Lee, Thomas Ian Griffith, Maximilian Schell, Tim Guinea. I'm just going to read the entire cast of Vampires to you guys.
Have you seen it?
No, I've seen pieces of it, but not all of it. I think that was at the point where either I had moved past wanting to see more John Carpenter films, or I just recognized that it wasn't going to be on par with Big Trouble in Little China, which is his crowning achievement.
Oh, dude, I love The Thing so much, though.
The Thing's great, and I would say it's very close to being tied with Big Trouble. I think Big Trouble in Little China is the most visually impressive films of his, from not only from an SFX standpoint, but from a set dress standpoint. The way the characters look.
Set dress? Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
I would say The Thing would take visual effects.
No, not me.
Because that stuff, today.
When's the last time you saw it? Because
pretty recently, like within the past year or two.
There's some stop motion stuff in The Thing that doesn't really hold up that well.
Well, those creature effects, when they're like touching the blood with the heat, and like
when they go to give that guy CPR,
and they use what are those things called?
The defibrillators.
Defibrillators, yeah.
That is one of the most.
Oh, it's terrifying.
Terrifying.
I watched. That was one of the first movies I remember having an impact on me, where I was completely. I'm trying to think of the word. The ending of the movie specifically.
Yeah.
I watched in the middle of the day on VHS.
Yeah.
I sat there in front of the TV and it ended, and I was like, they're both dead.
What am I gonna do?
What? Like,
yeah.
I couldn't wrap my head around an ending that dark, where it was just like
that. Well, see, we always talk about this.
That was topped a couple years later by Reservoir Dogs.
Oh.
Watched that in the middle of the night so my mom couldn't hear me, and sat there and wanted to cry. Like,
yeah.
Oh, no.
We always talk about horror films, maybe not on air as much as off air, and the difference between being scared and startled.
Yeah.
Like, if you just yell at me, yeah, you're going to startle me. But scaring me, like upsetting me and making me feel unsafe.
Halloween does that a lot.
Halloween does it.
That shot in The Conjuring. There's a lot of shots in The Conjuring.
There are.
But that one with the girl at the top of the stairs.
No, I don't want to talk about it.
I'm not joking, dude. I bought that movie today on Blu-ray, and that scene, along with some others, to me was worth owning the movie.
Do you have a box made out of you that you're going to store it in and then sprinkle salt around it?
Made out of me? Is that what you said?
No, you, a yew tree, Y-E-W.
Oh.
You never heard that?
No.
Oh.
I thought you meant out of you. I was like, of like my skin?
Let's talk about witchcraft.
My toenails?
No, a yew tree.
Oh.
No, but that scene in The Thing where they're doing the CPR and the defibrillators, it is both startling and fucking terrifying.
He does a good job. Isn't it right before that where they take the heat and put it on the blood?
Yeah.
Even that, because it screams.
Oh, yeah.
Like the blood screams.
Oh, yeah.
And that was something where I was like, oh, okay.
See,
I'm not going to be okay for a while.
yeah, I'm going to remember this. There was a PlayStation game, PlayStation
played
game. Boy, was it good.
Yeah.
I liked
It's
that game
not-
a lot.
It wasn't that as good as we remember it,
Probably not.
but it was awesome because it had that whole aspect of the game where,
Trying to figure out who...
well, like, other people would not trust you if you did stuff.
Yeah.
Everybody was on edge, so you had to try to convince people that you were fine.
Yeah.
And if you did weird stuff, then they would immediately be like, kill him! He's got it in him!
He's the alien!
So it was cool, man. I played it on PC, though.
Oh, I see. I played it on PlayStation.
But
This is not important for us to talk about.
is that the end of this
I
conversation?
think it might be. John Carpenter.
Well, wait, hold on. Before we go,
Okay.
we'll be right back. The way I said it made it sound like
Oh,
we're on a TV show.
You're on that website, right? On the Apple website, and I saw the Taylor Swift thing. They're filming The Giver right now. Lois Lowry's The Giver, and Taylor Swift is in it.
How does that make you feel?
Kind of upset.
Okay.
That book is super important to me, and I'm rereading it right now for the fucking like third or fourth time. There's this guy at work today talking about the book. I couldn't even converse with him because he was like, the book, there's a pretty upsetting part in the book, but the rest of it's good. And I was like, what? I didn't want to engage with him because I didn't have time, first of all, because I was actually doing something. But then he was talking about this particular part in the book that he thought was too violent for his sixth grader, which is up to him. And he can absolutely decide if he wanted. But I read the book as a sixth grader. And the book absolutely affected me. And the part that he's talking about specifically had a giant impact on me. But that, to me, means the book succeeded.
Yeah.
Like, you don't read these books.
It's not, you didn't accidentally write that part in there.
No, like, it is there for a very specific purpose. And it is fucking memorable. And even as a sixth grader, I remember thinking, that is insanely, like, that is crazy. That's super dramatic. Everyone's lives are going to be different because of that. And even back then, I was like, this book is amazing because of things like that. And it made me wonder about parents not letting their kids read certain things and like why.
I've thought about that a lot with if Amanda and I ever have kids, I'll probably ultimately just end up imitating or mimicking what my dad did, but
I guess I probably
my
would
mom
too.
Very much disagreed with how my dad did that stuff.
I don't know how my mom felt about it because my dad was like,
my dad forever when I was a kid would tease her, and he would always say, "You're ruining his innocence," because she said that to him when my mom and my sister. No, my mom and my sister Gabrielle wasn't even born. They left to go on a trip, and my dad was like, "All right, we're gonna watch this movie."
Do not tell your mom.
I don't even know if he told me not to say anything about it.
You probably just knew.
Oh yeah, I was Braveheart.
Oh yeah.
I was 7. So like after that, I was fine with it, and I really liked it.
Yeah.
And my dad obviously is a huge history buff, so I mean he gave me the novelization, which was written by Randall Wallace, who wrote the screenplay.
Yeah.
And like that all was very impactful on me. But I remember I got in trouble one time. We were at my great grandma's house, and I was reading the book, and I was at the end of it. So again, I was probably 8.
Yeah.
And at the very end of it, and that like the epilogue,
Sure.
they say it a little bit in the movie where they're like, William Wallace was disemboweled, quartered, all this stuff. Well, apparently in real life or whatever, at least in the novelization, they go more in depth and they put hot irons on his body.
Yeah.
So I walk into the back door and I'm like, Dad, you didn't tell me they put hot irons on. Like I said the line. My mom's sitting there, my great grandma's sitting there. Like my dad was like, I'll let you read these books, but you cannot come in here and say
stupid shit.
Stuff that you say. And my mom immediately is like freaking out. So
my parents were very much in cahoots and showing me anything under the sun and letting me read whatever was around.
My mom, no way, man.
My parents I'm pretty sure I watched.
My mom, speaking of Minority Report, my mom didn't let me go see that in theaters with my friends because she looked it up online and it was like, there's that scene where the spiders are going through and those two people are having sex. The movie's rated PG-13.
Dude, I'm not kidding.
She wouldn't let me watch it. I was so mad.
I saw that movie twice in the theater. Once by myself, once with my dad.
She didn't let me go see it. And I was like 14.
Yeah. I was 19.
Actually,
That's weird.
No, I was probably younger. Okay, so wait, real quick before we're done.
John Carpenter.
Don't look at the screen.
Oh, I
Go through the movies, and have you seen Dark Star?
No, but I want to.
I do too. Assault on Precinct 13.
Yes.
Is it good?
No.
I want to watch it.
It's really bad.
I've seen the remake. I bet it's better than that.
Almost.
Ethan Hawke and Lawrence Fishburne. Actually, the remake's not terrible.
Eh.
Halloween, obviously.
Yeah.
The Fog.
Yes.
I want to watch it too. Despite you being a giant baby, I'm going to watch Escape from New York.
You should watch it. It is an important film in the history of cinema, and it is insanely overrated.
Halloween 2 he didn't direct, but he wrote. The Thing, obviously. He directed Christine?
You didn't know that?
No.
Yeah.
Is it good?
No, boy, no.
Okay.
No.
Starman?
Yes.
Big Trouble in Little China, obviously.
Karen Allen and Jeff Bridges. Mwah. I love you both.
Prince of Darkness?
Yep.
Have you seen it?
It's fucking madness.
Is it in a bad way?
It depends on what you're looking for.
I want to see the one In the Mouth of Madness. I didn't know he had done a Lovecraft.
It's
got Bill Pullman in it.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
It's got some meta stuff in it from what I read on Wikipedia.
It's too bad.
They Live, obviously. Memoirs of an Invisible Man.
Love it. Saw that one in the theater with my parents.
Seriously?
Yeah, Chevy Chase.
I've never
You know who
ever
wrote
heard
it?
of it.
You're gonna be surprised. When
William Goldman?
Yeah.
He co-wrote it.
Blew my fucking mind when I found out Goldman had his hands on that.
So it's a good movie?
No,
Oh.
I love it though.
Oh, okay. I've never even heard of it.
Yeah, Chevy Chase becomes invisible.
Oh, I see that from the poster.
There's a pretty sweet scene where you see him eating in front of a mirror, and you see the food being digested and stuff because it wouldn't be invisible.
Oh, yeah.
And it also addresses not being able to sleep.
Because your eyelids.
You'd be able to see through your eyelids.
Yeah.
But it doesn't talk about what Warren Ellis brought up, which is that light would pass right through his eyes, so he would be blind.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep. In the Mouth of Madness is that one. Village of the Damned.
Yeah, that one's bad. Mark Hamill's in it. That's why I watched it when I was younger.
Isn't that the one with Kirstie Alley?
I think so.
And I think Christopher Reeve is in it too. Isn't it basically Children of the Corn?
No. I don't know what you think Children of the Corn is.
Isn't Children of the Corn like a bunch of weird, like murderous children?
So yes.
That's what I thought it was.
I seriously watched that movie just because Mark Hamill was in it.
That's Escape from L.A. Gonna watch that.
Man,
I'm
bad.
expecting it to suck.
Yeah.
Vampires.
No, it's not good, Emery. Do I like it? Absolutely. Is it good? Not even close.
What? Escape from L.A.?
Yeah.
Oh, so do you like it more than Escape from New York?
100%, without a doubt.
Really?
Oh, yeah. If I had to choose between watching those two, it's not even a contest. Not even a contest.
And Ghosts of Mars.
Yeah.
Have you seen it? No?
Not really. Kind
Like
of.
scenes. I remember when it came out, because I remember being like, okay, it's a space movie, but aren't they like monsters?
It's
Or like zombies?
Kind of. It's awful. It's about as incoherent as possible.
That's fun.
And for it to be called a movie, it's
Loose. So mean.
loose phrase.
It's got Ice Cube. Jason Statham's in it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Never mind now.
It's so fucking
Not only am I
bad.
going to watch it, it's going to be my favorite one.
That's not the whole list.
Oh, and The Ward. That's the last one.
That's the very last one.
That he just did with Amber Heard, yeah. Yeah, man. He hasn't made, other than The Ward, which apparently people don't even really bother to talk about, he hadn't made a movie since 2001. So it's a long time. One thing that I thought was pretty cool is he's a huge fan of video games.
Yeah.
And I read that the Fear 3 video game, A, he liked the first two games, and then B, they were like, well, can you help us with the story since you're John Carpenter?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah. So he came in and helped them write everything just because he was
cool.
into it.
I hope he gets a chance to make another good film.
It makes me wonder if he cares. Not that sounds bad. Do you think he cares? Do you think he cares about his life or about his name? No, I mean, it makes me wonder if he cares to make any more movies.
I'm sure he does.
Because he could have. I mean, it's not like...
If the question is, does he care about what the movie industry as a whole thinks about him? I don't think so.
I shouldn't say care. Do you think that it makes me wonder if he actually has any active interest in still making movies?
You mean if he's retired?
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know. I haven't heard him say anything to the contrary. It would be great if he heard this and then was like, I'm going to make another film, you fucking assholes.
Well, our theme song from day one was basically credited to him.
Oh, yeah.
Hideous Energy, Hideous.
Energy, Hideous.
That's the name of it.
Yeah, by
it's funny, right?
John Carpenter.
It's a joke. That's a joke.
Oh.
Have you ever been alone in the woods and you needed a hatchet, but also you kind of wanted to read Action Comics?
Yes.
That's happened to me, only it was kind of a similar situation. I was in the desert, and I needed Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yes.
Luckily, DCBS was there for me. Discount Comic Book Service. You can find them on dcbservice.com.
Yes.
Online. They will throw out parachutes of supplies and comics, little like parcels like in Lost where they drop food onto the island. Is that your line?
No.
Okay. And get you with your comic book fixins.
They will.
DCBservice.com. You can get so much awesome stuff on there for discounted prices.
A lot of really good prices.
Anything you can think of. If you want to buy that gross Catwoman issue, they got it.
That is there.
If you want to read it, they're going to charge you for it, but they'll charge you like half off for it.
They will give you a really good deal on it. You can also follow them on Twitter.
DCB Service, yeah.
DCB Service is their Twitter handle.
If you're in the Fort Wayne, Indiana area, stop by their store. We've already told some hilarious stories about stopping in there. Like they'll punch you if you want them to.
We've said a lot of really funny
high
things.
five. Seriously, if you go in there, we'll play it straight this time. They'll have a conversation with you and talk to you.
They'll talk to you. They'll be nice. They'll sell you some comics, and then right after you leave, you can go to the Chinese place that's next door.
Yeah, it's great food.
We almost always go there.
We always do.
Go to DCBS.
Go to DCBservice.com and get some comics.